Do I have a motion to accept the agenda at 7:07 p.m. on July 25th?
So moved.
Second?
Second by Mr. Vignani. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Before I go to the walk-in session, since this is our first public meeting, since a very important resignation by our town administrator, Patricia Casey, I want to take an opportunity to publicly acknowledge her service and the resignation to all of you. She's been here for 8 years and has done a terrific job for Scituate, moving it forward with a ton of projects that had gone unaddressed for a long time. So I personally am very grateful for her service, and also grateful that she's staying on through the transition. As we all know, the town administrator is the most important role here in town, and heads up a very large group to keep this town moving, and she has certainly served Scituate well. So I want to say thank you, Tricia. And Sean, did you want to add something? I'm sure you will.
You said it very well. I served, about 12, 13 years with Rick Agnew. Saw 1 or 2 projects get done. Tricia came along, proved everything from bond ratings, which Tony can talk to the 3 projects that we're all very well aware of that came in on time and under budget. Added staff that was much needed over time. And I've said it once, 10 times, I'd love to have her working for me. You know, thank you very much, Tricia.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk for a while here, but I'll try and keep it semi-short. Sean and I were on the committee that hired you. You were clearly the best candidate there, and I'm very, very happy that we made that hire. Sean mentioned some of the big stuff that Tricia did, but all of the little things that she did are what's really taken the town to the next level. All the systems you've set up, all the forward thinking, all the positions that we needed to fill that really were lacking, and really, low parts of the town. IT, we didn't have an IT guy, we didn't have HR. There's so many things that were lacking that you came in and gave leadership to and scope to and really direction to. Financially getting things in order. The bond rating shows the effort that you and Nancy and Pam, if she's in here, have done, and countless other things that I can't even think of right now. It's been a pleasure working with you. I think your insight has always been great. I've always trusted your leadership and your opinions. That doesn't mean that we haven't butted our heads together a number of times, but always got through it professionally. And I'm really thankful that you're handling this professionally as well. You're with us until whenever it is, like probably the special town meeting or November time period, giving us time to get our ducks in order, and we'll move on to the next thing, and so will you, and I wish you the best of luck with whatever your endeavors are. So
Thank you. Great. Any walk-ins here this evening? Yes, sir? Your name and address?
Mark, should I stand or?
Sure, it might be easier for folks to hear.
Mark Falbo, 202 Old Oaken Bucket Road. And it's essentially about the road. I guess the first thing I wanted to say is, can we get a speed sign? Because it's just, people go 15 miles an hour there, just usually, and more than that sometimes. Norwell has repaired their side of Old Oaken Bucket. I've been there, I don't know, almost 30 years. I think it's twice. I've yet to see anything but like pothole replacements. There's no place to walk there. There's like culverts of water runoff from construction up on the hill next to the bogs. There's still you have to. I was almost coming off of the rotary. That really, it's okay for me. I'm used to it. But a new person doing that rotary, the guy almost ran into me. I was clearly not a Scituate resident. He didn't understand what was going on there. He was going up 20, 25 miles an hour, not speeding, but he had no idea what was going on. He almost hit, and that's not the first time. I've seen people going around the wrong way on that. So I'd like some concerns about that. I call it the squiggle. The squiggle that doesn't, make sense.
No, thank you. It is a tough road, and I'm sure it's part of the plan. We'll check with Kevin Cafferty, our DPW director, to see where it is on the
Which
plan for
plan is that
repair.
now?
We have major road repairs that are done annually. I don't think Old Oak and Bucket is on for this spring or
Not
this fall.
surprised.
Yeah, but we certainly
Is there
will.
any way to get involved with seeing to it that it doesn't happen? You know, I'm worried that somebody's going to be hurt.
Sure.
I think it's sort of vaguely inevitable. So I'm wondering if there's some way that I can be proactive in that regard.
No, we appreciate you bringing it to our attention, and the police are here and heard your speeding concern as well. And I know there are some signs there, but I'm sure they'll take a look at it.
So what's the next step for me?
Really,
To follow up, I'm just
yeah,
asking.
I'll follow up with you, and we'll just keep you
You will
informed.
with me?
Sure.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you, ma'am.
You can send a letter so it can go to traffic sign.
Excuse me?
The sign request will be reviewed by traffic sign, so we just need, if you could
You know what
like,
I mean by the sign request, you know, those that tell you you're going too fast,
Yep.
that's what I'm
Yep.
and the member of the police department that's on the traffic sign is here, and he's nodding his head, so.
Where is that, sir?
It's Deputy
That
Thompson
would
on
be
the
useful.
end.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other walk-ins? Okay. There being none, we'll move to the report of the town administrator.
Thank you. I just have one item tonight that I want to share with the board and the public. As you know, we created the position of the Deputy Chief of Police about 2 years ago and made an appointment to that position, I don't know, last December, I think, maybe longer, I can't remember. And we appointed Lieutenant Mark Thompson to the position of Deputy Chief of Police. So in the police department, when you make a promotion at that level, then, and you've promoted from below that level, that creates a domino effect. So there was a vacancy in lieutenant. Once we appoint the lieutenant position, that's from the ranks of the sergeant. That creates a vacancy in the sergeant, and so down the line all the way to our permanent intermittents. So just to remind the board that for the last 8 years, probably 7, the town changes the way that it appoints and promotes command positions. We do a fairly rigorous 2-day assessment center. We have somebody come in with a panel made up of all retired or current chiefs in public safety, fire or police, depending on the vacancy. And they go through a series of written exercises, testing their knowledge, their presentation skills, their personnel abilities, their decision-making, leadership, and assertiveness. We had that for candidates for the position of lieutenant last month. All the sergeants were eligible to apply under civil service statute, and we are a civil service department. If you were in a position for a year or more as a sergeant, you're able to apply for the lieutenant's position and go through the assessment center. We had 6 outstanding candidates because we have 6 outstanding sergeants. We are notified by civil service after the rankings come out. The assessment center consultant takes the raw scores, and then that goes into civil service. They do their own tabulation, and then there's a 21-day appeal period for any of the candidates to appeal their final score. So it's a long, laborious process, even though we try to move it along as much as we can. So it's my pleasure tonight to not only tell you who our new lieutenant is going to be in the Scituate Police Department, but since we have an existing sergeant's list that will replace the vacancy from whoever's appointed, we're also in the position for me to tell you tonight who our next sergeant is. So first of all, it's my privilege and honor, really, to tell you that an outstanding member of the department is going to succeed another outstanding member of the department, Deputy Thompson, and Lieutenant Allison Stevenman is going to be our next lieutenant and first female command officer. I want to tell you a little bit about Allison. She was hired by the town in October of 2003 as a permanent intermittent. In October of 2004, she became a patrol officer, and in January of 2016, she became a sergeant. She has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Northeastern University. In addition to her duties as being a patrol officer all those years, since she's been a sergeant, she is the Public Records Access Officer. She's in charge of fleet maintenance. She's trained as one of our 2 sexual assault officers. We could have more, but I know we have more than one. She's written grants. She's assisted with our police accreditation, and she's also serving as a member of our very well-known and effective hoarding task force. So please, again, congratulate me in welcoming Allison and Amanda. So as I mentioned, Allison's promotion as a sergeant to lieutenant creates a vacancy in the sergeant's position. All of the sergeants go through the same assessment center, but a definite skill set for sergeants, because it's a much different role in different administrative positions and supervisory positions. And that is an existing list that we have from the last 2 years. So we know right now who that person is. Again, it's my privilege and honor to inform the board that Amanda O'Shea is the next sergeant in the
Congratulations, Amanda.
Amanda came to the Scituate Police Department in November of 2003 as a permanent intermittent. She became a police officer in January of 2008. She has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Westfield State College and a master's in criminal justice from Curry College. She is our social services officer, working closely with the hoarding task force along with Allison, and also a sexual assault officer. And she also served as our part-time school resource officer before we did our permanent appointment this year. So congratulations, Amanda, and good luck. So thank you.
So on behalf of the board, congratulations to both of you. Such a great achievement. Your credentials are unbelievable. Obviously, you've worked very hard over the years, and your dedication and professionalism is so appreciated by all of us. So I want to congratulate you. Great job. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. So before we go to the public hearing, we'll just talk a little bit about the town administrator process just for a moment. As you, right now, as you know, we just talked a little bit about Tricia's resignation. So the committee right now is evaluating the processes that we've gone through. The posting of the job is up on the MMA website already, as well as the, is it ICMA site? The ICMA site, which is a professional trade organization. So that was posted, I want to say last Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday. So we continue to receive applicants, and the board has the authority under the charter to appoint the town administrator. So we'll be going through and thinking about that process in the next couple of weeks. John, did you have a?
Yes, I'm sorry I was late. I actually had a commitment that overran, so my apologies for missing the start of the meeting. And I didn't have an opportunity to say a few things. Tricia has been an asset for this town, and I personally want to say thank you. The past 8 years have been phenomenal. You have literally gone out of your way on behalf of the board, on behalf of the town, on behalf of the residents, to really give value to the town while being transparent and ensuring that people, if they wanted information, could get it. And, we can start back all those years, and I think of even the smaller things that were significant. People talk about the ESCO grants. People talk about the stretch code. People talk about, you know, the green initiative. And between all these items that have been going on for the past 8 years, the town has been well served. And I can't speak enough about you because, you know, it'll be so apparent when people leave, they begin to realize just what you've lost. And we wish you well, I wish you well in your endeavors, but I have to say that this town is much better off than it ever would have been. And in my estimation, if you're not, you are in the top 2 to 3, probably town administrators, and I personally think you're the best in the Commonwealth. And nothing for nothing with the future person who's coming in, but as I said to you before, it's going to be extremely hard. You're not going to be able to do what you did. And I can tell you, personally, it's amazing how you've been able to put this town in the position it's in financially, all the structure, all the things that have been going on for years that you've been able to do on behalf of the board. And we're better for it. The town's much better for it. And just personally, I'm going to miss you.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. And I respect, you know, I knew this day was going to come some point. All good things do have to come to an end. I just wish it were a little later and not as sooner as it is. So I just want to say thank you very much. You will be missed.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anybody have any other comments with regards to the process?
No, excuse me. The only other comment I make on the process is there's a couple other communities that are looking for town administrators now, so it was great that we got out to the sites early, and I think that our time frame is probably a little bit shorter than theirs, so hopefully we'll get a good pool of candidates to come in, and we'll figure out what the best way to handle it over the next couple of weeks, I imagine.
Anything else?
Nope, that's fine.
All right.
Great.
Alrighty, being it 7:24, we will go to the public hearing, discussion and vote for the Hummerock Seafood LLC, doing business as the Nautical 2 new restaurant for an alcohol and common vicular license. Stephen Lehman?
Yes.
Hi, Stephen. Good for you.
Good evening. I'm Louis Cassis. I represent Steve Lehman and Hummerock Seafood LLC. We're here tonight before you on an application for an all-alcoholic restaurant license under Section 12 at 7-9 Marshfield Road in Hummerock, Scituate. I think you all know Steve. He ran the Nautical Mile, I think, prior to 2006 for many years, and at some point thereafter, the property was sold to be developed. I think after the Nautical Mile closed, it ran as the Madfish for 2 years?
I think so.
2 years, and then it became residential housing. Just way of history, the Nautical Mile that used to be there had 320 seats. It was a rather large restaurant, and that's been closed, obviously, and there are still several restaurants in the area, but the hope here is that what Steve's proposing is a relatively small area of a large building. The building's about 12,000 square feet, has 6,000 feet on each floor. The top floor is not used at all. The bottom floor is presently used for retail seafood, and I think Steve has an outside trailer that he sells food from right now without alcohol. This would be 1,000 square feet in the front. It would only have 28 seats, 16 at the bar and 12 at 4 tables, 4 each. The hours would be rather limited. It'd be 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., and I think 11 p.m. on Sundays, correct? So it wouldn't be a late night at all. I don't see it as being an area, there's no entertainment at all, no music, no live entertainment anyway, and it would certainly not be any kind of a burden on the neighbors or the neighborhood and the community. I think you know Steve. I think he's always been a very responsible owner. I don't believe there were any problems at the Nautical Mile, and if there were, there was only maybe one incident over, I think, 15 years. How long?
11 years.
11 years. And I think it'd be a real good addition to the community. I know that some of the restaurants there get very crowded in the summer, and there's plenty of room for people to spread out and go to another place. And we expect that we could take the overflow from a lot of the other restaurants that are very crowded on the weekends. And there are a lot of people here in support. I know there are some people opposed, but I do think that it's certainly a really good use for this property, and it would be a complete plus for that area right now. Take any questions?
Steve, I don't know you.
Oh,
So, nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
Can you tell us a little bit about the restaurant and the establishment, and what your plans are going to be beyond the capacity of,
Yeah, it's a-
29
It's a
seats?
small 28-seat. I've got a pretty high-end chef that's going to come in. She's currently employed now, so I can't mention her name, but she's going to come in and run the kitchen there and, try and do a little upscale, going from having 300 seats in the neighborhood to having none. This is just a small addition. There's a lot of boat people down there in the summertime, and even there's more and more year-round residents now in Hummerock. It's not quite the beach community that it used to be. There's a lot of year-round people there, so it'd be a good addition to the community, I think.
So you're going to be open year-round?
Yes,
Okay. And are you doing any type of renovations to the property?
yes. Just the inside, the interior inside, with some renovations.
Where are you doing the renovations? I'm kind of curious. I've got a picture of the location. You got the trailer out front,
Yeah,
and then you've got stairs going up to the second floor, and you're telling me the second floor is not going to be used at all.
no, it's just
And then
right,
behind it, there appears to be what looks like a doorway on the left-hand side with like 2 windows. Is that where you're going?
yes, that is to the side. Directly behind the trailer, there's a set of doors that goes into the front. This should be I'm not sure if you have a picture of the inside design.
No, we don't.
No.
There's a floor plan attached to the application.
We don't have that.
Oh,
I think it's right at the very, it's right
Do
at
you have an
the,
extra one?
yeah, it's
Just
right,
curious, because I had a hard time
Yeah.
visualizing it. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, great.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
So what are you gonna do with the rest of the space?
The rest of the space right now, I run a wholesale lobster company out of there in the back, and we do and we have a small retail market in the summertime. This is the central part for that.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So-
Tony?
I guess I'm just questioning, you said you have a high-end chef coming in
Yeah.
for a restaurant, there's only 3 tables.
20, there's 4 tables, it's 28
1,
seats.
2, 3,
12 at the bar, 16 at,
well, I wrote 16 at the bar. So 12 at the bar,
16 at.
so 4 tables.
4 tables, 4 high tops. Four top tables, yes.
Just seems kind of small for a high-end restaurant. Which, is it, there's more seats at the bar, obviously, than there are, or no, there's 1, 2, 3, 4,
12 and 16,
11, 12, 13. Yeah,
13.
and a deck on the,
Yeah, that's just an outside area,
There's a proposed deck on the left-hand side as you face the building.
so that'll face the bridge?
yes.
How far does the lot line go on that side of the building? Is
It goes over a ways.
off the, if you're looking, standing at the front of the building, it looks like the marina parking lot goes right up to the edge of the building.
No,
almost.
I actually have a copy of the site.
So there's room to put a deck?
We have a,
And that's
We're
what you-
replacing where the fence was, just the
Oh,
deck.
all right, okay.
What are you gonna do on the deck?
Just more or less, people go outside, if they're having a cigarette or something,
So a railing, you can have a
Yeah.
drink out there or
yeah, be a
something?
railing, yeah.
Well, this will all have to
where's
go
the
through.
point?
You have an appointment with the planning board already,
Yes,
right?
August 10th.
So why aren't you making it bigger?
Hang on,
Septic.
Oh,
I'll go.
So we installed the
Here it
septic,
is.
so that's what we could get out of it. So
We have a site plan that can show you where the,
That's all right, no, I believe you.
Lot line.
Yeah, that's fine.
And you're going to go through all the tip certification for your
Yes,
staff?
everybody will be, including myself, be tip certified, choke safety, all that. Right now, we're already HACCP, well, because of the business we're in. Then we do the serve-safe and allergens and all that. We're already,
And how many staff do you plan on having?
probably 6 to 10.
and you ran the other one, is that correct?
Yes, I
And it
am.
was 300 seats,
Yes.
so you're very familiar with how a restaurant runs and year-round, that's great.
What about parking parking, Steve?
No, we have it on the site plan here, that's,
Maybe, this might be good. There's 25 spaces now, and I think there's some availability of some more as time goes by.
On your property, there's 25?
Yes.
Without including your neighbor?
right.
There's 6 out front. I think there's 5 this way and 8 that way, parallel.
Then across the back. I can,
Well, the only problem you have is the 3 that are on the left-hand side, you're facing westerly, that's where you're putting your deck.
no, you have 6 across the front here.
Yep.
There's 5 along the building here. There's 8 that go this way. And
Okay.
there's 6 that come out, like those are the original spaces that were on the property. They pulled from prior. They did the septic design, that was back in 2011.
Where's the septic going?
It's already in.
Where is it? Back there?
It's runs all through here.
Yeah.
Installed.
And that would be Board of Health would put their stamp on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's
You want to take this as part of the...
Can I see that for 1 second?
So Steve, you have about 25 spaces without your next door neighbors
Correct.
using theirs. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering down the road if things weren't so good and the next door neighbor wanted their spaces back or for whatever reason,
Well, there,
they changed their mind, you don't have to have them.
no, those spaces are on the property.
Okay. Because I see a letter here that's, you have a
Yeah,
nice arrangement now.
He also has a lease, a pretty long-term lease on the property, too.
On the building.
Yeah, on the building.
How long?
right now it's be 8 years with an option.
This is the septic. Must be.
Does the board have any other questions before I go to the public?
Not right now.
No,
Tom?
no, not yet.
Being a public hearing, is there anybody that has, yes, sir?
Good evening, my name's Bill Arnberger, and I'm here with me tonight with one of the abutters, Steve Maderos, who owns the property at 6 Marshfield Avenue. Also with us tonight, which I think will speak, is Keith O'Callahan, who's the new owner of the Sands End Cafe right down the street. His father, Michael, who has an apartment and owns the building, couldn't be here. Richard Torsney, who's also an abutter at 10 Marshfield Avenue, and also Bob Oglevich, who actually is the owner of the hair salon across the street also. And at the outset, what they want to indicate is everyone's in favor of business, and business is fine, but there's a lot of concerns here having to do with health, safety, noise. And to be frank with you, the perception is this doesn't look very much like a restaurant, it looks like a bar room. For the simple fact is that there are very, very few food places, and what this is all driven by, and one of the things is, I think at the outset, it's premature for the board to act until the planning board has acted, because in the absence of a site plan permit, they cannot do what they have. And I'll point out a few things, because we plan to have a presentation before the planning board, but there's a lot of health and safety issues here. Among other things, you see all those parking spaces on the front. You look at the site plan. Those spaces are hanging out into the public way. And you're on a very congested corner. And this is place backing out of traffic. You should look at the place. And contrary, we dispute the number of parking spaces are there. And the other thing, remember, this is a very, very small portion of a very, very large building, which there's an abandoned second floor, and there's a real parking issue there to start with. Amongst other things, most particularly, there's residences and apartments in the neighborhood. I think you're going to hear from a few people tonight. And most particularly, what is labeled as one thing from an application standpoint, I would encourage that the sketch plan actually, whatever action is taken at an adjourned hearing, that actually you have a plan that actually an engineer and an architect, somebody actually puts their signature or stamp on it, because it has no north arrow. I had some great difficulty as the board did, trying to figure out what's where. But labeling it the sun deck is kind of a misnomer is because what we heard tonight, that's something that plans to be open. All these issues are driven for the simple fact, I think as Selectman Vignani said, is that there isn't the parking here to allow for the number of seats that is here. As I said, I don't think it's a reasonable expected use of a sun deck that there's no chairs. In the case, so you know, I don't know many people who stand up eating food, and that's just one thing. But it looks like this is predominantly a bar room, and not to get into, because Mr. Lehman, you know, has been a good restaurateur over the years, but one of the issues back with the old nautical mile is that there were issues, you know, having to do with parking and congestion and some behavior of patrons and things along those lines. And I can understand if something's a restaurant and it's predominantly a restaurant, but this doesn't feel like a restaurant or look like a restaurant, at least to my clients. And if it is a restaurant, I don't know any high-end chef restaurants that are looking for a liquor license till midnight. Or at the very least, as part of the serving premises, if there's no tables out on the deck, I don't see, and particularly I don't see why that should be part of the licensed premises. If someone simply wants to go out and have a cigarette, they're free to go out and have a cigarette. But at the outset, those are some, but most particularly the parking issues are things that they want to get into. One of the things, just for the history, is the town gets into what the septic system was. Actually, when the septic change was allowed in 2013, if you go back and read the objections, the Board of Health Director at the time, Jennifer Sullivan, had some many concerns. Ultimately, the board did approve this, but the whole septic system that was there initially, this wasn't even approved by the town of Scituate. This was approved by the Division of Marine Fisheries, because predominantly it was a sea, a use for lobsters and things along those lines. And basically, this was converted into that. So we have a little bit of a hodgepodge here, and I'll let several people talk. If this was a high-end restaurant, albeit with 16 seats, but it doesn't, at least my client's position, it doesn't look like that, it doesn't feel like that. And I think it's premature for the board to act until they have all the information in front of you, most particularly in the absence of a site plan approval from the planning board. There's nothing you can do here. And I truly feel that the parking is not adequate for this. If you have if this is 1,000 square feet, and you have a, 12,000 square foot building, that half of it isn't used, I don't think forever something's not going to be used, but I understand those are zoning issues and planning issues, so I won't, but at the very least, I think all the information should be in. It's kind of premature, but I'll let other people talk to what the concerns are. It's obviously when you have outdoor seating, and this is right on the, but most right on Superman Street, but most particularly the parking spaces, all the parking things I've been involved with, people contort to not have situations where A, the parking spaces encroach into the public way, but B, certainly that you're not, the only way to egress them is to back into ongoing traffic.
Okay, and please know that we certainly wouldn't approve a liquor license with any of the other boards. It would all be contingent upon passage, the planning board, Board of Health, and all that bill. So that absolutely will take place. And tonight is the public hearing, so we can hear both sides. We have 30 days to determine, so we'll see how tonight goes with the questions.
They're before the planning board on August 10th, so
Okay.
plenty of time.
Okay, great.
And as far as the parking requirements for a restaurant, it's one spot for every 4 seats, so we would need 7 for what we're proposing. And, we have more than that, and the upstairs of the building hasn't been used in probably 10 or 14 years, and there's spaces accounted for on the property for upstairs too, so plenty of parking.
I am concerned about the front ones, though. I think Bill brings up a good point with, it looks like they hang a little bit into the street maybe, and I don't know if you could put them diagonally and maybe lose a spot, but that is a little bit questionable for me.
It depends what the layout of the road is.
Yeah.
Right there, if it's 50 feet or 75 feet, whether they're on public property or private property.
Right.
So I got a question. I thought I saw a for sale sign on the building. Is there a for sale sign?
The landlord's had it for sale since the day he bought it.
So, I guess my thoughts are then, because the intrusion into the first and second question I have is this: are you before the planning board on a special permit site plan,
No, we're on a major site plan review.
just
yeah.
administrative review or
Administrative review,
special
yeah.
permit?
Administrative review for seats and parking.
Now, my other question is that do you have control then of the whole entire building through your landlord?
The whole downstairs.
The whole downstairs. All right. Because the concern I have is I forgot how many parking spaces you said.
25.
25. You need 7 for this. I don't know what's being used for the rest of the building, and I know that's probably a planning issue, but I was thinking, like, if you have the control of the first floor, is it warehousing? Is that what it is?
Warehouse space, yeah.
I said, why can't you use parking inside there if it's warehouse? So
No, there's big lobster tanks in there.
Other art.
Yeah, there's,
So there's nothing functional
Yeah.
from there for putting it inside, okay. All right.
Anybody else? Yes, name and address?
My name is Lisa McLean, and I live at Columbia Road in Hanover. I currently work for Stephen Lehman. I am not here to speak for Stephen Lehman. I have already done that in a letter that I wrote. I don't know if you would like a copy of it. I made them, just in case. This was something that I posted personally on Facebook for the company.
Thank you.
I'm, again, not here. I'm here for the people of Humrock that I associate with every day, as I've worked down there for 5 years with them.
Thank
They're
you.
not just customers, they become my friends and family. And a lot of them are unable to be here tonight. We do have a petition signed by a lot of them. And yes, there are concerns about all of the above. And I don't mean to contradict Mr. Lehman. When he says high end, I think he means like a higher end. Before he hired the chef, I firstly started working on the menu. And it's just different things that people down there want. I hear what they want every day. They just want a little place that they can go to, that they can walk to. A lot of them don't even like driving over the bridge. It's their little community and they love it. Just like parts of Scituate where I was born and raised my family. Greenbush. Just look at Greenbush now. It was like nothing. Every little part of Scituate has something, and Humrock takes pride in their little part. And they're welcoming the voyage. Humrock is changing. They're sad to have seen the pet store go. But there are other spaces down there. And these other locations don't have the parking to control what they have for customers either. That's I'm adding in, because numerous times I have had to go out into now private, main, huge driveway that we have, because people are parked for other businesses, restaurants, salons. There's also the 1 hour parking out front and on the side that people use as they would Cole Parkway, but Cole Parkway doesn't really have a limit. But back to the people. I have heard them for years. We just need something different, just a little something, you know, the little restaurant where they could go, and yes, people say midnight is a late time, but they also say, so say the Bridgeway closes, and they're watching a Pats game on a Monday night. It's not about being a bar room. A lot of people that are single, they like to go and have dinner. You're going to take up a foretop? No, you want to sit at the bar, you want to watch the TV, you want to socialize with other people sitting there. It's not about being a bar room. That's not what this ever was about. This is what people are making it about. It's just about adding something to a little community that takes pride in itself, and they just want a little something more. The seating, the parking, and I assure any one of you were to walk into that building, there is no way. I never saw his vision, ever. I laughed, I did, and I have to be honest, I was a Scituate mainland tried and true. When I first worked in Humrock, I was like, oh, Humrock. I'll be honest, now I love them, and I respect the dedication that they have, and that they want for their little community, their little part of Scituate. Yes, Sands End was there forever, Maryland was Maryland, now we have the Voyage. They seem to be doing well. They have 3 nights a week that they offer dinners now. I've been promoting them to people because I believe in the community of Humrock. I believe in what the people want, and I hear what they want. and they just want something, just a little something different. They don't, it's not like they're looking for a bar room. They're looking, you know what? I want to go have a bite to eat. You know, the Bridgeway is always so packed that it's a 2-hour wait, it's an hour wait. And they just don't want that. They just would like to just be able to sit down, have a glass of wine, and have a nice dinner. Have some sauteed mussels, have some steamers, grilled swordfish. We're specializing in seafood because we are wholesalers and we have access to the freshest fish. That's why they love when we're open for our Memorial Day to Labor Day. They thank us for being open because they don't have to travel out of their comfort zone. When you're down in Humrock, they just love being in Humrock. Just like Scituate people, some of them, you ask them to go on, you know, past like 3A in Cohasset, and they're out of their zone. A lot of the fishermen, they do. They just have everyone has their comfort zone. I know, I won't mention the lobsterman's name, asked him to go on to 128 one day, and he thought you asked him to drive to New York. He's like, whoa, what do you mean I have to jump on that highway? So, that's all I guess I want to say. I get rambling, and a lot of you know me over the years, and this is my anxiety. So that's what I wanted to say, is they can't be here. But a petition was signed, you know, by a lot of people. I'm not telling you to go on Facebook because I don't expect that of you. But the people that couldn't be here wrote they couldn't be there and speak for us. And I am the person, as I said, I'm not here for, well, I'm here for the, you know, the right to say yes. I mean, it's a commercially zoned area. It's regardless if people live there or not. I live above a commercially zoned area. It's what you walk into when you rent something like that. Anyways, that's my blah, blah, blah.
Thank you, Lisa.
Are those the names?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be helpful to have if we want to submit it into the record.
Sure.
Just give it a shot.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Kate Chan from Humrock, and I would like to stand, please. I have been a lifelong resident of Humrock. My name is Kate Chan.
Address?
18 Ocean Front, Humrock. I have such faith in all of our community. Humrock, as small as we are, we're big at heart. We support each establishment. We've gone to each establishment, and the new establishments that are coming in that we will support. To have a restaurant that we can walk to, or we can hire children with carts that will drive us there, or the parking lots from the Davis family that people, that we can park our cars at. Parking cars isn't the issue, it's supporting one another. All of our businesses are here. It's because of you that we strive. And for our community to get so big, Humrock is growing. We have these beautiful condos. We have family members coming from out of state, from all around the world. How easy is it for them to take a bike or take a motorized car, to go to a local establishment, to get a dinner, bring it back, sit by a cooking fire outside, enjoy memories, make long-lasting friendships with a neighbor. It's all about community, and as far as I know, Humrock has represented each and every one of us and supported us through thick and thin. It's about time that we pull together and have another vegan establishment. I have a family member who owns the largest restaurant on the other side of the bridge. We're all for this. We're all for community, and we're all for standing for one another. We're not all about disparaging people's character and worrying about parking spots. We're always worried about parking spots, even in our own residential home. It's about supporting an establishment for food, for memories. It's not a bar. It's a chance for people to get together, have some delicious food. We've welcomed other eating establishments. We're welcoming other different types of projects in Humrock. I'm just saying, from my end of Humrock, I'm here representing South Humrock, North Humrock, all of Humrock. We're the people for the people to support one another. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Stephen Medeiros. I'm the owner of 6 Marshfield Ave. And one question I did want to respond to about clients parking from the salon over there, it's never happened. My concern with it is when I purchased the property, that was a warehouse. It's never been a restaurant. There was no hearing for change of usage for the building. All of a sudden, we just saw a lot of work going on over there, and we were told it was a bar. My concern is noise at night. It's a mixed-use building. I rent the hair salon. My partner is on the first floor. We have a nail salon in the back, and then upstairs is residential. My tenants are concerned about what this is going to mean for noise. The deck that they're proposing is actually on the side of my building and stuff, so they'll literally be toward the street. So when people are out there drinking, smoking, whatever it is and stuff like that, in the winter, the voices are just going to carry and stuff like that. I'm also concerned if people are outside smoking, what that's going to look like. The site right now looks a mess. It has been like that since he started working on it. There's weeds everywhere. The bottom of the building is corroded. There's been piles of dirt there that I have complained to the town about, because when we're having the winds, the dirt's blowing across the road and stuff. I addressed it with Mr. Lehman's employee last week, was hoping that maybe it would get taken care of in the weeds, and nothing was done with it. I'm not anti-business. I love Hummerock. I'm one of the former owners of Sands End as well. So I've had a business down there, and my partner's had a business. We love the community. Our concern is what this is going to be for noise. And, the Nautical Mile, when it was there and stuff, one of the problems that they had, the original Nautical Mile, was people urinating outside. And then if the restaurant is closing at midnight, people outside talking, hanging around and stuff like that. So it might not be 12 o'clock, it might be 12:30 or 1 o'clock. And you have 3 buildings across the street that are mixed use, commercial and residential and stuff. So that's going to make it harder for us in order to rent our apartments and stuff, because people are not going to want to rent if places open until midnight.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lehman, what are your plans for the outside of the restaurant as far as addressing some of the concerns that you've heard tonight?
Well, it's all gonna be cleaned up. They're gonna put down crushed seashells and everything once we go through planning board. Planning's kind of told us to hold off until we go through her for site plan. And then the whole front's proposed to be seashells, so.
And the side where the deck is gonna go, just looking at some pictures right now of it.
There'll be a deck in and there's a fence going across. There's gonna be
But you gotta clean, like, there's air conditioners and,
yeah, there's gonna be a fence going across there blocking all that.
Board, have any other questions? Any other questions in
Interested to hear
Oh.
public.
Excuse me? Yeah. Yes, sir?
I'm Keith from The Voyage. I'm the owner of The Voyage in Hummerock. And again, I'm not anti-business, like Stephen was saying. We spoke with Lisa as well. The only issue there is my father lives upstairs where we are, and he's a year-round resident. So he had concerns, like Lisa saying, a lot of people has concerns. So I'm here representing my father. He couldn't be here himself, he's in France. But I'm just going to voice it, I'm a voice for him. And that his concern is the late nights and stuff like that.
Where
he
does-
is a year.
He lives upstairs year-round, is that what you were saying?
He's upstairs year-round, yeah. So like again, I just wanted to say something, that I am the owner of The Voyage. We have 20 car spots. There's no parking outside for us. We're all down the side. But I'm just a voice for him at the minute, because he couldn't be here. Obviously, he's overseas. But he is a year-round resident, and like a lot of people, he has concerns as well.
Thank you.
about, concerns about the noise.
We're not anti-business, or just, he wanted his voice heard, that he is concerned.
But don't you have a liquor license until midnight?
But I'm never open till midnight.
Excuse me, I'm
I'm
sorry.
never open till midnight.
No?
What time are you open till, sir?
Probably like 11ish.
11?
Because like in Hummerock, it says a light switch. And everything is dead after like 9 o'clock once the sun goes down.
Okay.
That may
I
happen.
just wanted to say that I'm not anti-business, but my
Sure.
father had a concern. And that's why I'm here to voice it. For his voice.
That may well happen here. I mean, you put a 12 o'clock closing on it, but I assume in the wintertime, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it may close much earlier
No one
than
there,
that.
you're gonna
Yeah.
close.
Someone had their hand up in the back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir?
Hi, my name is Richard Torsney, and I have a property directly across the street, 10 Marshfield Ave. I feel very awkward because I know folks in the room. I've known Stephen for many years. I'm an over 20-year resident of Hummerock. And so my concerns are, hours of operation? I think 12 o'clock is late for Hammerock. I am concerned also about, when I look at the drawings, it looks like a bar room. Now, the nautical mile actually was, I feel, my opinion was, well, one is not an opinion and one is. It was literally and figuratively two different situations going on. There was a restaurant, but there was also a bar. And my concern also is with the noise. There were, and I'm very cautious because words are the currency we communicate with, so I try to use the exact words. In my estimation, from my, every time I was there were many motorcycles out in front of the nautical mile. And hey, I have no problem with someone riding a motorcycle, unless it's late at night and I have a building with 3 residential units above and a commercial space down below. So I'm concerned with hours of operation, noise, and is it a restaurant? Is it a bar room? And respectfully, Steve, because this doesn't sound good, but it sounds harsh, but is it a bar room disguised as a restaurant? So those are my issues. And again, it's very awkward for me to say this, but I have a huge investment in that property across the street. And if I don't speak up, I won't be heard. So those are my concerns.
Thank you.
Can I just add one thing to that?
Sure.
Keith, Rich, and me and stuff, the difference is we actually own our properties. We're all into our properties for over $1 million. And this just, it looks like a bar to me, and from everything I've seen and what I heard and stuff, and it's just not gonna be good for our rentals or for our resale value for our buildings. After we put it in, he's a tenant there, and he just said he had an 8-year lease. I actually inquired about purchasing the building to put an end to this. And he has actually 2.5 years, I was told, on the lease. And they did tell me that they could deliver the building vacant.
Do you want to show them what you got?
I have a question. As far as entertainment goes, Mr. Lehman stated that there is no entertainment, but the Voyage, who's new to Humrock, has entertainment starting up. You also have Madeira starting up. I understand that your dad lives upstairs. I understand that you're going to have entertainment. We welcome the entertainment. We welcome what Humrock has to offer the community because we're looking for other things. We want to keep our residents in Humrock so they can enjoy what we have.
Sure. So right now, we're just addressing the liquor license piece of it?
Exactly.
Right, okay.
We'll give you the lease and we have a lease and amendment and,
Well, you're going to have to go
Yeah,
through
we
a lot
have-
of different boards, you know, the planning process, so you've got quite a bit of a process to go through.
actually, the lease is in the application folder.
Is it one lease or 2 leases?
It was 2, but we're doing a amendment, so it'll be, end up being 1. It's gonna carry it.
Okay,
Yeah,
go
I'll do that.
to the audience first,
Okay.
that's all right.
Yes, ma'am?
Christina Brown, I own Humming Rock Gifts, 11 Marshfield Ave. I'm a direct abutter, and since all my neighbors have expressed their opinions, I just wanted to come on record. And I wanted to first say I love all my neighbors; they're fantastic. And but I have had a great relationship with my next door neighbor, Steve Lehman. He has just been an exemplary neighbor, and I have seen his business and how he's run it, and he's just top notch. So I have every faith in him as far as what he's doing with this 28-seat restaurant. And I don't think it's really fair to compare it to the Nautical Mile, which was so much huger. This is a little hole-in-the-wall niche business that I think will really add to the community. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. John?
Well, many of you may not agree with me. I think the more restaurants down there, the better. The Bridgeway's packed, you're gonna go somewhere else. This gentleman's restaurant, you're gonna, you know, if he doesn't serve a good meal, then they're gonna go somewhere else. They'll go once. I took a ride down there today, and I, you know, it's not our place to say, but I think to address your neighbor across the street there, he's, you know, maybe has a valid point. You've got a metal building there that, you know, gonna need quite a bit of work unless you're trying to portray that look, you know, but I don't know how that would work out very well. Just concerns on what was mentioned a couple of times, you know, you don't own it, it's a lease. What if someone else buys it? You know, I don't know where that leaves us legally. If, you know, you hold the license, but you may or may not have an establishment. I really don't know. I don't think in all the years I've been
They're bound, whoever buys it, is bound by the lease. Unless it's for more than 7 years and not recorded, then it's a different issue, but they're bound by that. If they have actual knowledge of the lease, they're bound by the lease. So he's as good as that lease is. He's there that long.
All right, okay.
Tony, anything else?
No, I mean, I think, I hear everybody's hesitation on things. I'm concerned about the noise as well with all establishments in town, and the hours, because they kind of go hand in hand. I kind of agree with Sean, another place in town isn't a bad thing. You know, I've been to the Bridgeway and it's packed, and, you know, I can see the neighborhoods not wanting a bar there, but if you say it's gonna be a restaurant, then, you know, we gotta kind of believe you're gonna make it a restaurant. You know, if it becomes a biker bar, then that's gonna be another issue. But if you clean it up and make it nice, people will come, and if you serve good food, people will come more. So, you know, hopefully your intentions are on that line. But I do agree that we can go through the process and, you know, get all your other ducks in order and then come back. Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I'm thinking. I think the planning board has a lot of discovery to do and conduct, but. So we have 30 days to rule on it, which will keep us within the date that they go to see before the planning board, right?
Yeah, August 10th.
you said? Okay. John?
All right, so I see things a little differently. First and foremost, it's a business district, so I have no issues with somebody coming up with an idea in Hummerock, trying to make a business go, because there aren't that many to begin with. With all due respect to all the abutting property owners, you have a business, you're first in time, but that doesn't give you the right to be able to dictate what's going to go in the business district if the zone says it's permitted. This is a bar, clear and simple. That's what you're looking to get. It's not a restaurant. You'll have food there. My concern would be that it turns into a potential, you know, bar that's going to be a problem. But that in and of itself is not determinative in my mind. If you're allowed to do it under the zone to do it, then you're well within your right to do it. My concern, though, is that there are some issues with the site plan that need to be determined. I'm inclined to say, since we have 30 days, and this is going to be August 10th, that the very next meeting that we have, if it's within the 30 days, that we continue this hearing until then, because I don't want to be granting you, or maybe conditioning it, that you're going to get a license when maybe there's some other issues with the other boards. I'd like to make sure that if you're going to get it, then that's fine, you come back. I will say this, as a person, if somebody else were to apply for a license, I would hold off in providing or permitting any other license out of fairness, because you're first to do it. And if somebody came in and said, I want one for some other location in town, and I'm not sure if it's the last one we have, but I would be, I would not let that go until we find out what happens at the other boards. I am concerned about the parking, you know, your perpendicular parking. It isn't a public way, that shouldn't happen. Again, that's an issue that the planning board will determine and vet it, and, but I would say that, you know, I'm inclined to say yes, because any business that can help resurrect the business district in Hummerock is a good thing. And, you know, competition's always important, you know, food and other locations. But I will say that primarily it is going to be a bar, first and foremost, and then you're bringing in food. And that's fine. That's what it is, that's what it is. But, so at this point, I would probably say hold off until we find out, we continue this hearing, leave it open until we find out what Board of Health and/or Planning Board says. And I personally would say I'll support you on it if everything goes fine with that, and I would not allow anybody else to get another leg up ahead of you at this point in time.
So I think our challenge is that our next meeting is August 8th, and the planning board meeting is August 10th.
We'll waive the 30 days and go to your next meeting, if that's okay with you. In other words,
That would be fair.
yeah, why did we don't care if you act within 30 days. We'll take as much time as you need. So the next meeting's, what, 2 weeks after the 8th? Is that how?
8:22.
We put us on for that meeting, see how we make out at the planning board.
That's
We
fair.
appreciate that.
That's very fair.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, great. So we will continue this hearing on August
Motion.
22nd.
Motion? You
Move
need a
to
motion?
continue. Move to continue the hearing. Bear with me here. Let me know when you're ready. I'll move to continue the hearing for a new all-alcohol license and common viculars license for Hummerock Seafoods LLC, doing business as Nautical 2, until August 22nd, 2017.
Second?
Second.
Just one housekeeping matter. Is the evidentiary part of the hearing closed, or do you want to hear more people want to come? Can they voice their opinions pro and con again, or is that part of the hearing done? I mean, should we get people here that are in favor of it, in other words? Do you
Got
need-
150
yeah.
signatures here, too,
Okay,
so it's...
all right.
And we have the lease, right? That's the, okay, so I just wanted, it wasn't in the information
Yeah.
provided. You submitted it, that's great.
Yeah.
We didn't have a chance to review it, that's
So
all.
if they want to come at the next meeting,
Anyone
Have them
can
come.
Yep, okay.
I'd have them come.
That's fine. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Katie, how are you?
All right, moving on to the second item,
Lou,
discussion
do you want
and
this
vote
back? Lou, just,
Keep that.
all right,
We have copies.
all right, okay.
for the donation to J24, Maura?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll set that over there for...
You'll be sitting for a long
Hi,
time.
Maura. Trying to get a little closer.
I know, we can wait.
Got nothing better? Oh. We're already an hour behind.
Go ahead.
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
My name's Maura Glancy, 61 Kenneth Road. I'm also Recreation Director of the Town of Scituate. And I want to introduce...
Hi, Jana Crittenden, 30 Circuit Avenue on First Cliff.
We're here tonight because Jenna has been very gracious to donate a motor to our J24 adult sailing vessel. The motor we have now is a little shaky, to say the least, but it's a sailboat, and so it will move no matter what because we always have wind around. But Jenna has taken a couple classes, adult classes with us, and has noticed that she would like to donate a brand-new motor, and I'll let Jenna talk more about that. Oh, and the boat originally was donated to the Recreation Department by the Stevenman family, just to let you know that. It's a J24, it's 24 feet long. We go out Tuesday and Thursday nights from June to about September.
Thank you, Maura. Chairman Curran and members of the board. I moved to Scituate from Cohasset after living there 19 years. I moved 2 years ago. And I sort of got indoctrinated by my neighbors who are all boaters of one kind or another, and was inspired to take the town classes. And so I've now done 3 sets of classes. I can't say enough about the town program, the instructors, the whole spirit of the program. I don't know what the town budget is for sailing, but I can only say it's just been terrific. As Maura said, the J24 has been an exceptional boat to learn on, and sort of in keeping with the spirit of the whole giving back to the community. My father was active. I'm from central Pennsylvania originally before moving to Boston many, many years ago. My father was very active in the town and helped to get the tennis courts built there, and he passed away last year. And I just sort of feel like it's kind of a family tradition, both of my own and my partner, Rick Childs, who's here tonight. We both just feel like being generous to the place you live and making things possible for other people is what you ought to do if you can. So the motor that I have located, again, thanks to one of my neighbors. I don't know if you know the McLeods, but they live on First Cliff next to me. Alan McLeod has been a longtime sailboat captain. He was able to identify in some of his boating literature a Suzuki 6-horsepower outboard, which is the long shaft that the J24 needs. You must be a boater. You're shaking your head. And lo and behold, the gentleman who owns the marina, it's coming from Rockland, Maine. It's brand new. And I was initially looking for a used motor, and was fortunate enough to find this one that's brand new. We don't have to worry about, the liabilities or the questions. It's going to have a full warranty, etc. So with your consent and with your permission, I will be picking up the motor on Friday to donate.
That's terrific, thank you. It takes folks like you that keep our sailing program going and everything else. We can't keep moving forward without such generous donations as that. So can't thank you enough. Certainly familiar with the J24, and it needs that little motor to keep going.
Really?
Don't even start. Right, Maura?
Right, Maura.
So thank you, Jana, very much, and welcome
Thank you.
to Scituate. We're so
Thank
glad
you.
you moved across the town line.
Yes, yes, as am I, as are we.
Courses you want to take, that's my question.
What?
Are there other courses you want to take?
Well, so, yes, definitely, but more importantly, I'd like to, I sort of feel like one of the things that I'd like to do is make a commitment to supporting the sailing program beyond just getting this motor. I know there are scholarship opportunities and such, and, if I had my way, I wouldn't have grown up in a landlocked town. I would have grown up learning to sail when I was 6 years old, too, so, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jana. Do I have a motion?
Move the Board of Selectmen accept a donation to the Scituate Recreation for a J24 sailboat motor.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dennehy. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so
very
much.
Thank you
You're
both.
most welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Maura, while you're here, can I ask you a question on the, do you know what the status of the mats for the beach are from the
Beach
Beach
Commission.
Commission?
Well, I did contact Nancy Fay,
Oh, yeah?
and I haven't heard back from her. I think she's been away or on vacation, but we'll be working on those, probably have them all set for next
Email her also.
year,
I
I
just didn't
think.
know if you knew anything.
No, I think it's going to be all set for next year. I think it's kind of late in the season now. I'd like to organize how they're going to go in, how they're going to go out. I have to know all the mechanics around that before I really just kind of roll them out. So I have, and there's a boardwalk also, I believe that's
Yeah.
going to be built too.
Need you?
So, yeah.
Great.
I'm working on it. I know it's in my neck of the woods. I've been trying to get
Do
a
you have
hold of
them?
her. No.
No, okay. Oh, Nancy's shaking her head no.
Appropriation was only available July 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's next summer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's in the planning process.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Maura.
You're welcome.
All right, next on the agenda is a flood plan mapping review with Nancy Durfee and John Ramsey from the Coastal Resource and Applied Coastal.
John, you want to sit? You're going to be the one to push the buttons.
Actually, I'll sit here.
Okay.
It's 4 seats, so.
We'll do this one, how's that?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
I'll let you go first, Nancy.
Okay. Hi. Thank you so much for having us here to discuss the floodplain mapping. I want to thank Bob Vogel, as well as Laura Harbottle is here, and Patrick Galvin, who has been working on, trying to figure out our floodplain bylaw and mapping issues. And also John Ramsey from Applied Coastal, who has been working on the mapping piece. So this is confusing. There's a lot of moving pieces to this, so I'm just going to let you know in advance. I will explain it, and you may not, no one may understand a word I've said, but I can explain it again if you want me to come back. Okay. First, we've had the first floodplain map in 1972, long before, like 7 years before FEMA even had a map for us.
So they used the 10-foot contour lines to create this map, and they also crafted a bylaw at the same time, which is still in existence today, and we still use it. It's in the section 470.6F on the Scituate zoning bylaws. And these are the tools that are provided by the regulatory departments to regulate development in the floodplain. The town has also adopted the 2016 FEMA firm map, as everyone knows, and that was at the fall meeting that we had. So although we understand that there are still a lot of issues and complications with that map, prompt adoption was necessary to remain in the NFIP. Following past practices, this was accomplished by incorporating the firm panels and the NFIP regulation language into the conservation rules and regulations. So we have a part of our FEMA map and our rules and regulations adopted into our conservation rules and regs. And part of them are still in the zoning bylaw. So that's where it begins to get a little complicated. And we're guided by both. And then we adopted it and ratified it at the town meeting. So it was first done with conservation. We brought it to the town meeting just to be ratified, but it was already done through conservation, and that satisfied the NFIP. We have learned that other communities incorporate all of this language right into their zoning bylaws, and that we're probably the only community that has it straddled between two different regulatory departments. And currently, Scituate has a portion of that language, as I mentioned, in the conservation rules and regs and in the zoning bylaws. So to complicate this further, the 1972 map and the 2016 firm map do not match. So there will be areas where there might be some overlap, but there's also areas outside of each one that aren't regulated the same. Does that make sense?
Is that what you're going to review, where they don't match?
A bit, yes.
Yeah. So right now, we are forced to consult multiple maps in order to determine whether or not a property can be developed in a certain way. And it's not in one location. So Laura Harbottle and Patrick Galvin and myself and Bob, under Tricia's guidance, have taken a look at all of this, and we sought assistance from John and the Applied Coastal Group in order to help us kind of come to grips with the mapping piece. So John's going to give us the presentation on the mapping.
Okay.
So just, if I may, to summarize, the goal really here is to identify one map for the town to use to eventually take a look at adjusting the bylaw, right? So we have one place that we as an organization can go to determine an appropriate floodplain, right? Right.
Really, there are two stages. The first might be to move the language that's in the conservation rules and regs into the bylaw. The second, which is going to take, a little bit of time, will be to agree on the proper map to replace the 1972 mapping, with the most recent data, the most recent science that we can bring to bear to update that situation. And then after that's in place, there'll be a review of the regulations that apply to the floodplain and watershed protection district.
Okay. So I have the unenviable task of the technical side of things. So I'm going to at least try to get through this. Actually, Nancy, or Rebecca, can you forward the slide? When I leave that one up there for a second. So what we're trying to do, obviously, is get an idea and try to update this whole concept of the 1972 map. And right now, because the uncertainty with the 2016 FEMA maps, there's a lot of areas that are much too aggressive as far as the way they're looking at things, but there are also areas that maybe they're a bit liberal as well. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we're coming up with a mapping that is actually something that the town can move forward in the long run and is based on that best scientific information. You guys all know what happens in your town. This just gives a quick snapshot. This is a photo from the 78 storm. And one of the things that we see here, and this is pretty common along your shoreline, is the areas that are seawalled, you get a lot of water that goes over the top of the seawall. No big surprise there. But the damage that it does, it doesn't just do it right behind the seawall, but it actually goes quite a ways back from the seawall. You get a lot of flowing water. And so on the right there is just kind of the FEMA repetitive loss flood damage properties in that area, but you have that pretty much throughout your coast. Next slide. So one of the things that you're right now, you guys are going through the process of revising your FEMA maps, but one of the things that is part of that analysis is just coming up with what the still water elevation is. And what that has to do with is just the still water elevation is how high the surge comes. And what FEMA has done recently has actually made it so that they're actually looking at something called wave setup. So when the waves build up, they push water into the harbors. And so your still water elevation in your harbor tends to be a little bit higher than it is along the coast. So that's one of the reasons why you saw your maps being very high, and they actually overestimated the still water elevation, like in the harbor area, significantly, and that's one of the reasons why your maps are being redone. But this sort of gives you an idea. One of the things that we're coming up with by using those types of models is that rather than being at 15 or 16 feet, the actual height of the water in the harbor and behind the open coast is somewhere around 11 feet. And in your old maps, pre-2016, it was about 10 feet. So, with adding this wave setup, you're probably going to be about 11. And that is probably a good contour to use for mapping in the interior portions that are, that get water in the harbor, in North River, all those types of estuarine bodies, that 11 feet is a good elevation to use. So really what most of the remainder of our focus was actually looking more at the open coastal areas and how those hazard areas can be assessed, but we can really look at 11 feet interior, okay? And so one of the things we look at, and again, I don't want to get caught in the technical side of things, but one of the things we look at is how much water is coming over your wall, because we know how high the seawalls are. When we get a storm wave, how much water comes over. And one of the things we notice is in a lot of your areas, you're up in that yellow band where there's there's so much water coming over it can damage pavement. And that's just a photo where we see that happening. And that was sort of what we looked at as the limit. If you're getting so much water over the wall that it's damaging pavement, then that is determined whether it's in a FEMA flood zone, they all are, but if it's in a FEMA V zone or not, that really is a really high hazard area, because that's where infrastructure is getting damaged and all the homes are getting damaged anyways, even if it's not by waves, it's by flowing water. And so this is sort of kind of a schematic. This is Minot Beach, but it gives you an idea of water going over the seawall, and then you get that rush of water. So a lot of your areas, your highest topographic thing is your seawall, and the water gets over that wall and just flows backwards. So, and again, because that whole area is in a flowing water area, we would consider that really a high hazard area, not just a flood hazard area, but a much higher hazard. And so I just want to give some examples, and I hope those colors show up well enough. So there's kind of this orangish red color. And so, when we go out to Oceanside and out at the point here, we're looking at that whole area being what we have called a high hazard area, because again, the water comes right over, and this area, obviously the polder area, gets all flooded, and all those homes back there get flooded with flowing water. So that area fills up, and we have that issue. When you get inside the harbor, we're looking at just more still water flooding elevation, where the water just comes up. And again, it's not flowing, it just comes up and comes back down. So it is causing damage, but not the same level of damage. So we kind of divided it up into two areas. Next slide. And so that just sort of gives you, again, the concept that we have this overtopped area, and so that water's all going to pond all the way up to 16 feet. And again, this area just gets flooded all the way across through our modeling analysis. And then this area would be at that 11-foot, as we talked about, that's the kind of the 11-foot contour of still water elevations. That's what everybody wants to know, is how this compares to what you already have. So this gives you an idea. This is the 1972 map in the purple. It shows you where that coverage is. And this is the new map. Here's the 72 outline. So basically we are including an area that's a little bit greater in the backside. And then some of this flooded area was below 10 feet, but this area is between 10 and 11, so this would include a new area. But again, not massive changes compared to the 72. And then this is looking at your FEMA 2016, where you've got the reddish color is your V zone, and then the blue is bluish green is in A zone. And then we look at our map, we actually have all of that area mapped as a very high hazard area. But again, the outline is very similar. And again, in here, and your new FEMA maps will probably correct this, but we actually have a lower flood elevation. We only have 11, where in the existing flood maps, you're, I believe, at 14 or 15 in there, and that will come down. That is certainly a correction that will be forthcoming.
On behalf of FEMA?
On behalf of, I guess you have Woods Hole Group, that's another consultant, yep,
Right,
yep. So they'll be doing that type of analysis, and that will come down. So this is just looking at North Hummerock. We just want to take a look at a different area, just so you can get an idea of what the change would be there. And again, this is the 1972 outline, and this is what we're proposing, which is pretty much the exact same thing. So it's a high hazard area all the way across, and most of that area, and that's really the way they have it in the 72 map as well. And then looking at FEMA, FEMA basically has a V zone basically all the way across, and we have a similar type thing, out at the spit there. We don't bother because it's really undevelopable, so we just have it as a still water flooding.
What area are you looking at?
Fourth Cliff.
Yeah, so there's Fourth Cliff, and this is, Central Ave, sorry. I thought with the stuff that you guys had just been through I thought you'd know where we were. I'm just teasing. But yeah, so it gives you an idea that there's some places it's really not changing. Places that don't have seawalls, you're probably not going to see a lot of change. Places where there are seawalls, it's going to be, we're showing more water flowing over the wall, and you're going to see a higher hazard area going further back a little bit. But again, we're basically trying to come up with a map that you guys can move forward with, knowing that FEMA is going to be changing over time, but this one should be something that at least from a zoning standpoint, you could likely stick with. And really, that's all I'm presenting. So I think that's the last slide. I just wanted to give you an idea.
Great.
So as Bob mentioned, like, there are steps that can be taken, and he made them very clear, and is basically look at reconciling the mapping and the bylaw, as well as how our zoning relates to these new impacts in our development. And that's really all that we are presenting to you tonight, just to let you know what we have been working on.
Great.
So what are the next
Bob?
steps that you think, and what legitimately can be done in a certain period of time to try to merge these maps together and go from there?
Right, so I think the first step, as Bob mentioned, would be to take the map and the NFIP language and put them all from the conservation rules and regs into the bylaw.
So we would need to get the bylaw review committee, hopefully staffed, to take a look at that. And I assume, would it be literally cutting and pasting, Bob, or would it be actually trying to work the language?
We think it will be mostly cutting and pasting, John. There may be some redundancies, there may be some overlaps that, need to be cleaned up. But yeah, hopefully it's just cutting and pasting. It can go fairly rapidly. We're not proposing at this point any new regulations whatsoever, so that nothing needs to be reviewed in that sense.
So we'd
it's
be
really
looking to
just
try to put
housekeeping.
something on the warrant come annual town meeting in the spring.
That would be our goal,
Good.
certainly.
So it's the zoning bylaw, it's not the general bylaws?
Correct.
Correct,
It's
yes.
the planning board, and it, yeah.
The planning board will have to
Yeah,
do the
not the bylaw review.
review or
Yeah.
their opinion. They have to render on it, but
Right.
but it would be amending the zoning bylaws.
Right.
Good.
And then the longer-term thing would to be look at the zoning. You received an extensive list of the development that's gone on in these areas now, which prompted these concerns with the special permits coming out of the ZBA. But mostly what drove it was the 1972 map that was just the staff was struggling with, and now we're actually dealing with two reiterations of the FEMA maps, the one you adopted and the ones they're still revising for us, which John pointed out.
So once we're able to maybe go through all this and finally merge into one working map, then would we be referring to it or referencing it in the zoning bylaws going forward? So that we...
Yes, I think that's the intent, to actually replace the paragraph that references the 1972 map with a paragraph that references this new map, and then all of the regulations within the floodplain and watershed protection district bylaw would reference to this map rather than the 72 map.
Great. That'd be great.
In the future, you will be taking the new maps directly to the town meeting for a vote, instead of it going to conservation first and then being ratified at town meeting. So that will be the change as well. So whenever a new FEMA FER map gets changed, it will just stay in the same place, but it will come to town meeting for that change.
All right.
That's great.
Thank you for pulling all that
Thank you,
together.
Nancy.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
So I'm
Okay.
staying.
Yeah.
I'll be staying.
I'm going to run away. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Bob, for helping me with that. I appreciate it. And Laura, too, if you're still here. Thank you.
So Nancy, I know you've been working very hard on working on easement language for the beach renourishment project for Hummerock. If you want to give the board an
Yes.
update where you are, we do have a copy
Okay.
of it.
All right, and I think you have 2 copies, so I'll just briefly go through the easement. The beach easement was basically recreated from the seawall easement, which is exactly the same in most areas of the easement language. What's different is the purpose, because it's for a different purpose. It would be for a beach nourishment instead of a seawall. So the exhibit will look different. It will be the engineering plans, as well as the extent of where the nourishment will be placed. The construction is included in the description, as well as a nourished area, replenishment, replacement, and placement of the dredge material in order to allow for all these types of activities to occur. So I didn't want to have 3 different beach easements with 2 different activities, even though we're working kind of in tandem on the dune beach nourishment as well as the South River Dredge project. I wanted to make sure it was all combined into one. This activity would take place below the mean high water mark. The permanent easement is slightly different too, because it's got the nourish and maintain, but it also was left as the right to pass and repass, which is basically just a part of the public trust doctrine created in 1674 in colonial times, where you could pass and repass if fishing, fouling, and for those types of reasons. And we also had included bathing and other uses customary or incidental there too. So there was some language else that was added as well. And we also then we just recently changed in a northerly or southerly direction to accommodate concerns of the residents that were concerned that they would pass through their property instead of, like, they weren't sure. So this clarified that for any resident who thought that the easement would allow for them to just cross through their yard to the beach. And we clarified that again in the easement as well, as part of, since there wasn't a seawall to demarcate that line, we wanted to make sure we made it clear that you weren't able to walk anywhere near their structure or an enclosure within their property. So that was included as well, and no use later than 1/2 hour after sunset and not earlier than sunrise. So there was a time of day delay as well. We have also provided all the residents a fact sheet in that area. It was mailed to them along with the draft easement. And in the fact sheet, we included the information about the South River Dredge project, the project timeline, material, how much will be placed, why an easement is required, and it's under our Mass DEP waterways regulations that provide that if you have a public project, you have to have a public benefit. If it's public funds being used, then they want to make sure that there's also public benefit for that. How it was developed, the benefits of an easement, and what the easement will allow and what it won't allow, such as like no lifeguards, no parking, and et cetera. So that's the differences between the 2 easements, as well as the fact that we have been we had 2 public meetings in the spring. We'll plan 1 more this summer. We put in another grant for engineering and permitting for this area, for the dune and the road elevation. So we're hoping that we get that from CZM. And so that would move that project forward. So we'll be going back to the residents to see if this easement will be satisfactory and that they will be happy to sign it.
So, the easement will not go from the street to the shoreline. It'll go from the shoreline, from parallel to the shoreline.
Right, so mean high water to the ocean, but they do own it in this particular area, so that's why the easement is required. But it won't go from the street. There won't be anything on the property where their structure is, and there won't be anything on the road because the road is owned by the town.
Okay. In the suggested motion, it said north and south, the direction north and south. Is that accurate, Nancy, or should it be, again, parallel to the shore?
I'm certainly
The language
open.
actually says northerly or southerly.
All right, so
for
it
parallel
doesn't have to be, all right,
It
all right,
does
thank
say
you.
it, yes.
All right,
Right.
great, thanks. I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's there.
All right, so I have a few questions then.
Sure.
So, if I'm not mistaken, the easements that were sought in the Sand Hills Shore Acres area
Right.
included the public right to possibly use for beach purposes. Not that they're going to, because generally there's no real beach there, and a lot of it's cobbled to begin with, but
Right.
those easements did have it. This one doesn't, correct?
Correct.
And I don't understand why we are then changing it, because these people don't want to have the beach, the right of the public to have beach access, and yet we were very strong about that with Sand Hills, Shore Acres, with other areas, because we're going to be expending a lot of money down here
Correct.
for the benefit of these homeowners at public expense, and yet we're not going to get the same that we asked of other people in town? I'm looking at you,
Right.
Nancy, but I'm asking that question as a general, because I can't support this, because I actually went and got into a lot of arguments with my neighbors about why they needed to give beach access, because we're doing a public good.
This does, they can.
There's nothing in this easement. It says you
It's
can
only
only
from
walk.
the-
It's not,
You
yeah.
can walk up and down, and that's it. And I can't support this, because I'm like, otherwise, then we need to redo all the other easements. It's not fair to say to one town, part of the
Understand.
town,
It falls,
you know, that we can have people go use it as a beach, because there've been holdouts there who don't want to grant it, and yet these people were saying, no, we're not going to grant that, but we'll have you be able to walk by. I mean, we're expending a lot of taxpayer dollars on that. I don't think that's fair.
Well, that's why it's important that you get to see it and decide as well.
I'm only looking at you.
Right,
I'm
no,
not
I-
blaming you at all for it, because
I
I
don't-
can
I
only
don't feel
imagine
that
how
way.
difficult it is
Yeah.
to try to negotiate with homeowners. But I'm like, I
Right.
cannot in good conscience vote this to the benefit of those people in Hummerock at the expense of people in my neighborhood who I actually got into a lot of arguments over. I just
Nancy,
can't.
really-
when we talked about this, about the trespass and whatever, we asked Brandon to do the Constitution part, to do the pass,
Right.
foul, and trawl. I have to say, I wasn't aware that to John's point, that was not part of it either.
Right.
Because we've worked very hard
I don't think
to
we have the
ensure
right
that it was
version.
consistent. Huh?
I don't know that we have the right version in our packet.
Yeah.
That's what I.
There were two versions. So I thought the only things we were changing from the original, let's cut to the chase.
Right.
So the only things we were changing from those Sand Hills and Shore Acres one was there was language inserted about bathing.
Right.
That came out, because we really just wanted to mirror what we had before as far as, under the rights to pass and repass under the Constitution to do that. And that's not in the current easement we have around town anyway. And the other one, what was the second one, Maura?
Was to be able
By the
to.
structures.
To go.
To pass and
back
repass,
forth.
yeah.
Right, I think I
But
have that.
that's inherently, a right, that's inherent anyway in, yeah,
Right, under the law,
yeah.
Right.
low and high tide, that's
Yeah.
the law. So we're only just reiterating what the law says. I
That's
guess what
right.
I want to know is, I want to read the easement that we demanded of people.
Right, I
Up
thought
and down shore on Oceanside. And I want to be able to compare it, because
Consistent?
if not, then I want to go back and I want to redo the entire easements for the people there, pay for it all.
Right.
Because we're not going to ask people in one area of town for something.
No,
It's not
I
fair.
know exactly what the language is, but I can't recite it off the top of my head, and I thought I had a copy of the seawall easement in my packet, but I don't see it now.
I'll be
But
happy to
there
review
is-
it. I looked at this earlier today, and that's when I was like,
It's number 3 on the line item in the seawall easement, and you're right, it's very, it's much, it's, the wording is very clear that they could do whatever beach items you do, but just in very simple language.
I'd like to see that.
We can put it on for your next agenda.
Yeah, I can come
item.
back.
Yeah, no problem.
I can come
Thank
back.
you. Because I'd like to do it. I just,
Yep. This, John, to Nancy's, there's been so many drafts.
I can imagine.
That we couldn't even keep it straight.
This
When
is
Maura and I
property
were
issues,
talking
and
about it
people are
last
always
week.
worried about diminution
Yeah.
of their value, the
Yeah.
fact that you're having an easement over your property that does potentially have some financial ramifications. And I just, again, I always go back to what I'm saying. Seawalls are very expensive. Beach renourishment are going to continue to be expensive. And as I said to some people, if they don't want to grant the public the benefit, the public then does not need to pay for the protection of it because it's very expensive. And I remember specifically having some discussions with people on Oceanside. And I can't, to vote this would be completely,
Right.
you know, they would think that I was stabbing him in the
I don't think
back.
it's that much different, so.
It's a big
When
difference.
you see, no, I mean, when you see the original language in this.
Yeah,
Right.
no, Nancy's
I will
been
make
very aware
sure.
of what you just said, for
Yep.
me especially.
And I'll
Yeah.
take a look at
Yep.
that. I appreciate that.
And I'm happy to take in any other comments from the board as well. Guidance is much welcomed at this point.
Thank you.
So, and the message continues to be exactly what John said, that
Okay.
what we have done in other areas of the town is what we will do for Hummerock.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
So I guess
sounds
we'll-
good. All right, I'll come back in the next Selectmen's meeting and clear that up. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you for your time.
All right, next is discussion and vote for a few outdoor entertainment permits. Sue, Shalou? Hi, how are you this evening?
Good. Do I need to come up front?
Yes, come on up to the table, please, and just your name and address, please.
Hi, Sue Shalou, 95 Man Hill Road.
And you're here for an entertainment permit for a wedding?
Yes,
And it's going to be held on August 12th?
correct.
5 to 11 p.m. And have you consulted with your abutters and your neighbors? They know that this is taking place?
Yes, I sent a notice around the neighborhood and have spoken to people and actually went even beyond just the abutters.
Okay.
So,
Is there anybody here that objects to the entertainment? Doesn't seem to be. Does the board have any other questions for Sue?
Is the 12th a Saturday night or a?
it's a Saturday night.
Motion?
A motion?
I'll move to grant an outdoor entertainment permit for a DJ for a wedding reception on August 12th, 2017 at 95 Man Hill Road from 5 o'clock PM until 11 PM.
Second.
Second by Mr. Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes carried.
Thank you. You're welcome to come listen to the music.
From the street.
Don't take us up on it, we just did. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is John Drew and Alec Graziano present? Hi, John, how are you?
That's Alec.
Close
though. 50-50
I'm
shot.
sorry.
Hi, Alec Graziano, 15 Lincoln Ave. We're actually going to have a competing party to Sue's, which is going to be so much better. No. So I'm here representing the Third Cliff Association, Rivermore Improvement Association, and we're hoping to have our second annual block party.
Oh, that's
that
right.
we were here last year, asking for the same thing. So basically, we're looking to close off Lincoln Ave from either side of the street to, for safety purposes. It's a family event, but we're asking for, both an outdoor entertainment as well as block party as well. We have put a letter out to the abutters, and as of yet, no one has complained or raised any issue. So I think, we've kind of crossed those Ts and dotted those Is.
And last year, no issues?
Nope. Band went from 5 to 10. We had 2 different bands, and no issues, no complaints, no problems.
Same band?
Yeah, Doc Ellis.
Oh, there you go.
So if you're around and you're not coming to Sue's party, feel free.
And it's for Lincoln Avenue, correct? Or
Correct,
Maple?
yeah.
Okay, because we have 2 different addresses, just want to make sure. Okay, so it's for Lincoln Avenue. Any questions from the board?
Nope,
No.
from 5 to 10?
Okay. Do I have a
Correct.
motion?
Move to grant an outdoor entertainment permit for a live band for a block party on August 12th, 2017, from 5 PM until 10 PM for Lincoln Avenue.
Second.
Third Cliff.
Second by Mr. Vignani. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Congrats.
You're all
And,
set.
well, we got to
Done.
close the street, too. There's one
And
more.
the-
Oh,
Is there another one?
Yep. So, as Alex just said, they want to close the street for Lincoln. I assume you got
Oh,
everyone that
okay,
lives
thank
on
you.
the street
Yep,
on board with that?
everyone's on board, and we just put sawhorses up, and it's just a cut-through. I don't know if you know Lincoln, it's just a cut-through street, so it's not a, yeah, they can go down Michael or go all the way around Collier, so it's not a fire issue.
It's not, yeah.
All right, great. And the police and the fire and the DPW have all approved it? Okay, perfect.
Move to approve closing both ends of Lincoln Ave for a block party on August 12, 2017, from 5 PM until 10 PM.
Second?
Second by Mr. Danahy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, it's lots.
Oh, I didn't see it. Next is an indoor entertainment permit for the galley, Erica White and Brian Houlihan. They here? How are you? Hi, Erica. Great. How are you? So if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Do you want the address of the business or my personal address?
Business.
Doesn't matter. Business, which would be great.
Erica White. I'm one of the owners of Galley Kitchen and Bar on 95 Front Street.
Great. And could you please just, I know you're here for an
Sure.
entertainment permit for Heritage Day weekends.
Correct.
But if you could go into some detail about the timing as well as what you're planning on doing, that would be great.
So currently we have a license for indoor entertainment for solo acoustic guitar duo with voice. So we just want to extend that. We'd like to host a band complimentary in conjunction with the Heritage Days weekend. So we'd like on Saturday to host from 7 PM to 12 AM. Our current license allows us to have music till 12 AM on Fridays and Saturdays. The doors close at 10 PM every night of the week at the very latest. On Sunday, we would like to do music from noon to 10 PM. We have 2 doormen in addition to multiple managers. Myself and my partner Brian will of course be there from open to close for the holiday.
So let's start with Saturday first. So Saturday, what time are you
We'd like to
looking?
start at 7 PM. We don't want to necessarily compete with the festivities that are going on during the day. And then the latest would be midnight, but the doors would be closed at 10 PM, as they always are.
And what band are you having?
The Aldous Collins Band?
At 7 PM?
Yes.
On
Yes.
both nights.
On both?
Yes, it will be Aldous Collins both nights. There may be a couple of different members swapping out on the Sunday, just where we're starting earlier, but it will be Aldous Collins primarily.
So I did a little research.
Mhm.
They have on their website that they're playing at 2 PM
Okay.
and 3 PM.
Okay.
So,
On Saturday?
mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
For us, it's a later start. They may be playing with somebody else. I know they're playing at Riva Friday night, so I don't know if they have any other
So do
gigs.
you want to check it?
Yeah,
It says the
definitely.
Galley.
Okay. Yeah, that may be a mistake.
So, okay, so you definitely have them booked for 7 PM?
PM on Saturday, yeah, and then Sunday it's at
What time
throughout
does the
day.
music stop at Heritage
It
Days?
stops at 6 on it
No.
stops at 6 on Saturday and on.
No, I think the last one goes on at 6.
I looked at it last night.
I think they're done at 7.
7 or 7:30, is it?
I think they finish at 7. And then they finish, I think, at 6 on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think.
John, I think you're right. And what's your occupancy permit? So you're saying this is going to be indoor,
Correct.
right? How many piece band is Aldous Collins?
It's usually between 3 and 5.
Probably 5.
Different members come and go.
All right, so Saturday, the music goes until 7 PM. And then on Sunday for Heritage, I'm looking at Heritage Days. I think it just goes to 6, right?
Sunday.
Yeah, yeah,
How much Saturday?
7.
Till 7?
7. They shut down, though. The vendors get
Yeah.
done at 6 PM. So they would be pulling down. Are you going to have the windows closed, open? What's your
Weather
plan?
permitting, we'd like to have the windows open until 10 PM like we normally would.
Sean, do you have any questions?
Not for Saturday, no. Just maybe Sunday, but you don't want to talk about that yet, do you?
Does the board
No.
have any more questions about Saturday?
No, I have no problems.
So what about 12 o'clock? I know, is the band going to play until 12 o'clock, you think?
They would be done by then, that would be the latest. We're basically mirroring what we have on our original license for Fridays
Yeah.
and Saturdays.
But you don't have acoustic, I mean, you only have acoustic, you don't have
Correct.
amplified.
Mhm.
I don't think it should be open till 12 for amplified. On Saturday night, residents upstairs, we've had a couple complaints. I don't know, what do you guys think? I think 11 is,
I mean, I question containing the crowd, really.
Okay. We do have
My
2
position,
doormen
I don't know how
in
you're gonna
addition.
keep a rock band inside your space. What's your occupancy permit?
59.
59?
So occupancy was an issue last year that the chief mentioned.
Okay.
well, that,
Again, we have 2 doormen in addition to the regular staff that night. So myself, Brian, and the other managers will be on hand in addition to 2 doormen.
So the vendors break down at 5, they're off the street by 6, right?
Yep.
Your goal is to start at 7.
That's what time you started last year, isn't it, Erica? What time?
Saturday, I think it was
Yeah.
around 7. Yeah, Sunday was during the day, but Saturday we didn't do anything until the PM.
I don't care, as long as you don't start till after the music's done over there,
Mhm.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But I think, is it 11 o'clock? You think that's, I think that's more of a reasonable time to stop.
I think we can compromise on that.
Yes, ma'am?
I'm Chris Nelson. I live at 91 Front Street, next to the galley. I have concerns about this. Number one, the window's open, okay? Because there's loud amplifiers that they use. Okay, number two, I don't know if you recall, but Reva's also has requested music, outdoor music.
Right.
On, what?
Friday.
Friday and
Saturday?
Saturday, I believe.
No,
Is it Friday?
And
Friday and Saturday,
Sunday,
yeah.
Sunday, they say they're gonna start at 12 PM. The vendors are still gonna be on the street.
well, we haven't gotten to
We
Sunday
haven't gotten
yet.
to Sunday yet.
Oh, okay.
But I share your concern.
And my request, because of last year, with all the people up and down the street, is to have the windows closed. I mean, I stood in my living room and could hear like they were right there. It's a concern. And we did get a letter early this morning that was put on the table and was brought to my attention from one of the other people that live in the building. And if we were notified earlier, we could have had an associated meeting. There would have been more people here this evening to voice concerns. You know? I'm concerned about having the windows open. I'm concerned, like last year, having people up and down the street, 2 and 3 deep.
Thank you. I personally share those concerns as well, knowing Aldous Collins and the crowd that they attract,
Mhm.
and how you will contain them. I also have a concern that they have different hours posted at the galley already before you ever even came in to talk about getting a permit for a band, beyond your acoustic permit that you have today. So those are all my concerns with regards to this request.
Okay. We did work in conjunction with the police last year. We actually set a hard line on the sidewalk to where anybody who was passing by, they couldn't go past a certain point. So on 2 different occasions, I had individual conversations with officers just to make sure that we were in compliance. So we did do our best to keep people off of the sidewalks once the street was reopened. As far as the windows are concerned, we do always close them by 10 o'clock. We would certainly, if we had the 11 o'clock allowance on the Saturday night, have them closed by the 10 o'clock hour. The noise for Heritage Days weekend, I think it's once a year. It's something that we're just asking for once a year in conjunction with the celebration that's already going on. I can say that when the carnival was in town, there was plenty of people walking around the streets. There was fireworks late. There was plenty of noise. It's just it's part of the celebratory atmosphere of hosting something within Scituate. We're certainly happy to change the request to 11 p.m. on Saturday night. We're not looking for this to be a disturbance. We're looking for this to be complimentary entertainment for anyone who wants to enjoy it. We don't want anyone to be upset. We don't want anyone at the condos to be upset. That's not our goal. certainly, we'd like to work together and find something that works for everybody. But we do close the windows every night at 10 o'clock, and we wouldn't try to keep them open later or push that or anything like that. That's not part of this request.
I think it's a little bit of a different when you have amplified music.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're really an outdoor situation instead of an indoor situation, because the windows are the whole frame.
Mm-hmm.
The acoustic is one thing, but the amplified's another. Is there any way you can do it with the doors closed?
I think it would take away, certainly, from the experience of Heritage Days. It is an outdoor festival. It wouldn't technically be outdoors. It's sort of, it's mixed, certainly.
So the observation that I have, Erica, was 2 years ago. I didn't go down last year due to some personal matters. But when I went 2 years ago, I think it was Aldous Collins who was performing. It's the first time I'd seen him. And they were a head turner because I was walking down the street at the various booths, and it was in midday. I think it was Sunday. And maybe that was 3 years ago. I just remember, and it was really enjoyable and entertaining. People were gathering right on the sidewalk. I had heard that obviously it happened again last year, except it was later in the day. I think that's the concern I have, is the crowd issue. Great band, fun time. The limitation you have is your space,
Mm-hmm.
and by having the windows open, it does create a few problems. One is crowd control. 2, alcohol potentially going into the streets. 3, we're going to have the roads cleared at that point for traffic.
Mhm.
And I think it's incumbent upon you and Brian to ensure that that doesn't happen. I think you're going to have a problem if you keep the windows open initially. Then when everybody starts leaving the concert for the Heritage Day Music Fest, and then will begin to go to the restaurants, which is really ideally what we want,
Mhm.
or at least when I was on the Chamber of Commerce, that's what we wanted. The after hours, what people will go to. But you got to control it.
Right.
And I think hearing the board, and I think the concern I have is that it might be difficult once you start getting a number of people there to be able to have crowd control between, bouncers or people, and then trying to close it off. That's going to be difficult. I think it's incumbent upon you to try to think, how is it that this can be prevented possibly?
Mhm.
Because if it becomes a problem again, I think, and because it was a problem last year, I think, then it creates a situation where next year it's going to be a real problem from us. And that's what I'm saying. I think if there's a way of you to say, if you're going to start at 6 or 7 on Saturday, I forgot what you said.
7 on Saturday.
7, I realize it could be very hot, and you're not going to be able to close that off and start cooling down the place, but you got to start thinking about closing the windows as it gets going, because it's going to get hot inside, you get it cooled, but also it's a crowd control issue.
Okay.
And if you can come up with some solution, I think the board's basically trying to say to you, we're concerned about this, and because if you keep those windows open till 10, one, it's going to be noisy, and I can see how it's going to ricochet off that glorious building called CVS and then go right back up gradient to the people who live in the condos.
Mhm.
And, but the one thing I always say, you're in a business district. Businesses are primarily what you're looking for. Residents get moved into it. They have to deal and cope with what businesses promote. And obviously, music is important to try to promote your business, and I get that. But I think you have to be a little more creative in trying to figure out the crowd control and preventing a potential, because there are a lot of people who follow Aldous Collins, and after seeing them, I have to say, I was impressed by their music.
They are
so
impressive.
They're good. So I think that's a challenge that we need to hear a little bit more, how you think we can maybe resolve that for the safety in the public.
Okay.
That's the way I'm seeing
If
it.
we were to hire a police detail for the Saturday night, would that be something that would be amenable to the board?
That's what I was going to say.
Might be a
And
smart
I don't
thing to
think
do.
Scituate, I don't know how you go about that. I don't
Yeah,
think you can
I
get
don't-
Scituate.
you
Well,
can't.
wait, but can she hire a police detail from another town, the county, and, somebody else?
Perhaps the county, I honestly don't know, but not our local.
Right, and neither do I, but I'd feel a lot better if she could, her and Brian could hire some type of, police officer, not from Scituate. I'm sitting here just listening, and, we're just, this was the Bellboy years ago. You guys had no idea what type of crowd left the Bellboy at what time, And John, we're trying to promote business here. This is, and I've known Christine for a long time, and I know it's a difficult thing talking about, this is great for the whole harbor. If they can't get to the galley, they're gonna go to, like I said earlier, they might end up at the Scituate Tavern or something like that. It's good for the whole town, but you wanna do it where Christine and her neighbors can sleep at night as well, and live with it. The idea of closing the windows, that's not gonna happen. Let's face it, 59 people, maybe if it's 500 people, maybe they could close the windows. That's, to think they're gonna be able to close those, that's wishful thinking, I think, and
I was wondering if maybe you could try to think about closing one half of it, say 8 o'clock is what I'm thinking, and then try to pare down the windows, because it's not going to happen all at once at 10. You try
Well, you
to
could,
stage
see
it so that
if-
you can slowly kind of corral that issue. That was my thought. But I agree with you. I mean,
Imagine the temperature.
I just worry about the numbers, because
Yeah.
those windows are open, then you're going to have people outside, and they will
That's
probably
where I
three or
think,
four days.
if you have an independent, officer or some
Security.
officers, yeah, exactly.
Isn't
then-
that what Reva's doing, or are
Are you
they?
gonna monitor?
Well, I'm just curious about the police detail. Like, I know at the Tinker's Son in Norwell, one of our other spots for St. Patrick's Day, we always have a detail, and it's always a Norwell officer. So it cannot be a Scituate officer for, I just had never heard that before. I was just looking to
They
clarify.
stopped it for liability.
Liability.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Something happens and somebody gets out and
But-
Gotcha.
there's an accident, they'll say, well, the police officer should have caught it. Then they sue
Okay.
the town. And I presume that's when I heard that.
Oh, interesting. 'Cause I do know, we do it in Norwell all the time. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
My question is why can't you keep the windows closed? What's the problem with keeping the windows closed?
It's not really so much of a problem. It's just sort of part of the appeal, where Heritage Days is an outdoor,
It's
an
to
outdoor
attract people
festival.
from the outside in.
Well, it's
Much
like
of what we
Boston.
do is,
When you go to Boston and they have all the, what do they call them, the type of windows where you can walk up and down Newbury Street or walk down these streets. It's actually a
That's the
very nice
city.
thing. You know what, though? It's a nice thing for drawing people. That's why a lot of people like going to the Galley. Has an appeal that other restaurants or other locations don't have. You feel like you're on the street. I get it. Makes sense.
Then what
This
are my
way.
rights as a homeowner there?
Well, I will say, and this is what I was pointing to earlier, that you've moved into a business district. When you're in a business district,
It's
you have to
also-
accept, let me finish, please. You have to accept the fact that businesses have uses. If you're in a residential area and they're putting a business there, I would have to tell you, I'd say, you're absolutely right, they can't do it. So when I'm saying business district, you've moved into the district that the town has determined under its bylaws, that's sanctioned by the town meeting, the legislature. They want businesses there, and that's what a part of their business is trying to do. It's like having a bakery, or like having a music store across the street, down the street, hearing music, or all these other things. Sometimes people don't like what businesses have to offer. Some people don't even like CVS because of the trucks parked there early in the morning. But that's a part of the business district, and people who move into it have to accept it. But it's not the primary use, that's the
So
thing.
therefore, do we have any rights down there?
We're trying to work through that now to try to work as a balance, but generally speaking, if this were a residential area, I would be totally 110% behind you saying this shouldn't happen. So I'm just saying this is where the balance comes into play, because we want to make sure our
Where is the
businesses continue to
balance?
survive.
I mean, with the amplifiers and
Well, maybe
everything?
one thing I was thinking just occurred to me when you were talking about the doors. What if we close the doors on your side at 8 o'clock? So by the raw bar, I'm talking
Right.
about that's closer to the courtyard. If we close that half,
And the band's going to be probably on the
By the
back stall,
jukebox.
shooting back.
they'll be by the
And so,
jukebox.
yeah, so that could be a
So
solution
that would be the
to try
other
to
side.
work it
So
out.
we could do that at 8 o'clock. That would be closest to you, and have everything else shut down by 10. And that side is easier to close by 10 o'clock simply because the band is there. So it's not like we're competing with people who are dancing and whatnot like we would be over by the raw bar side, to your other point.
That makes
Close
sense.
the side closest to you by 8.
And you will also agree to hire a police detail?
If that's something, I'm a little confused about the details, but absolutely, if that's something that the board is seeking, I can look into talking to another town or see if Norwell does any crossover.
And
'cause
if I
we
were you,
haven't.
I'd almost feel a little relieved, let them, take some of the liability and, anyone, environmental police, anyone, that has the authority to do something like that.
What do we want the police detail to do? Keep people off the sidewalk?
Well, just
Make sure.
crowd
folks can
control,
contain it,
I mean.
Well, they can only let 60 people in the place. if they leave,
Well,
if they let more than
all the
six,
windows open, we all know that's not gonna happen.
well, then the fire department should go down there and shut them down.
No, like I said, I know that problem was pointed out to us last year about the sidewalk, and as I said, 2 different officers came and addressed it with us, and we actually created a line on the sidewalk with, rope and posts, and that was, basically, that was it. Nobody was allowed past that
That could be
line.
a solution, that you just put coordinate off so that
That's what we did last year.
a sidewalk so that people were able to walk to and fro.
Mhm.
And if there's a line, then you keep a line for people waiting to get in and see how that goes. That could be an option.
There is
I
a
guess the
dormer on
concern I
either
have
side,
is
yeah.
just making sure it goes controlled wise as opposed to getting out of control. And I'm not saying it was out of control last year, I'm just saying that's the benefit of
Yeah,
looking at it.
everybody wants a vibe. Nobody wants a frenzy. That's not good for anybody, us included, so that's certainly not the goal.
All right,
So what's the
do you want a
conclusion?
motion? What's your?
Well, I think the hours are
7 to 11?
7 to 11, with the shutting of the windows, like she recommended, I think is good.
At 10 PM?
Yeah, I
At
mean,
8 PM on the left side and 10 PM?
fully,
8
yeah, that
PM
makes
condo
sense.
side.
Yep.
and I don't know about the detail, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but they have to manage their own situation. If they don't, they can lose their license.
I would agree on that, you know what, because I don't know whether or not you can get security, and that's something maybe you might want to look into in the future, but I would say the onus is going to be put on you this time. Because if there is a problem, as you always know, then they're going to come back to us. It's going to
Absolutely.
come back to us, that's all.
Absolutely.
And you'll put some sort of rope or something over the,
We'll do the same as what we did last year. Yeah, we roped off both sides, and there was a doorman on either side of it, controlling the flow both ways.
All right, so that's Saturday. Do we have a motion? Let's do these in 2 motions, if you don't mind. Make a motion for Saturday.
All right. A move to grant an indoor entertainment permit for full band on Saturday, August 5th, 2017, from 7 PM until 11 PM, with the caveat that the left side of the restaurant will be closed, the windows will be closed at 8 PM, and then all windows closed according to what they've determined to be at 10 PM.
Do I have a second?
second.
Second by Mr. Vignani. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. 3-1. Okay, so Sunday. So Sunday, you have here from 12 PM to 10 PM.
So
Talked a little bit about your plans
Sure.
for Sunday. So,
So-
I mean, I think hearing what the board has said already, we don't really want music to be conflicting with the Heritage Days music.
So last year, what we did is we just had the acoustic during the day. It was 1 or 2 people with guitar, so we had reggae during brunch. We had Phil Pacino in the afternoon. It was something much more subdued. We just figured while we were coming for the permitting process, we would just cover our bases. We didn't want to give people the impression where we were moving from acoustic to band that we were not going for the correct permit. So Aldous Collins intends to play in the afternoon that day. Once the Heritage Days festivities are over. It ends a little bit earlier on Sunday in our experience, so.
6 or
6 for Sunday. And what time are they playing on Sunday?
It was mostly acoustic all day. Last year they got full band around, say, 5:15, somewhere in that ballpark. It was after the vendors started breaking down, so whatever time that occurred, that's when they started.
So the music ends at 6. I believe that's what you just said.
It was going together.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that we said last week to Mike when he came in before us. I think we told him that we were not looking to have some kind of competition with the chamber because it's the chamber's event, and that, if I'm not mistaken, and my board members will correct me, I think we said we didn't want anything from the time the chamber's promoting their music until they finish, which I believe is 6 PM.
Okay.
And I have to say, just again, the fairness issue, if we did it with Mike, I can't say that we should do it with your establishment. That's not to say that, or it has to be fair to Mike.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the fact that the chamber's running the event, I think it's important to make sure that we keep things separate, unless both you and Mike and other people in the future say we want to be a part of the chamber's event, then I think you need to work through that and set that up through that source and venue, because they have the police details and they have everything else. As far as after that, Erica, I have no issues with that, again, providing we have the same kind of conditions that we had with Saturday night. I probably would say, again, I wouldn't go to midnight because it's
No,
Sunday.
not
I think
on
most
Sunday.
people are kind of,
No.
it would be, till 10,
Yeah.
okay, so it would be 10.
Yeah,
So
that would be at the
I would say the same
latest.
restrictions,
Yep.
except I would only do it, and I would say next year, if you guys are looking, you and Mike and anybody else, then maybe that's a discussion we should have in conjunction with the chamber,
Mhm.
I would say.
Yeah, we did have a couple discussions, just we are members of the chamber, and we do have a food truck going in the back part as opposed to, someplace else. But obviously that's separate. But certainly on Sunday, we can, push Aldous till 6 o'clock if that
I'd like to see
is
Aldous
agreeable.
on the music festival.
You and
to
me
be honest
both.
with you. That's a discussion
Absolutely.
for chamber, but
Yeah, yeah, we
that's
would
what I
love
would
that.
say.
Yeah, but we can push that back to 6. We do have the acoustic license for the daytime. We normally have a solo guitarist during the brunch just as background music. It's part of the Sunday.
Same deal, closing the windows.
Yes, yeah, we can definitely close the right side again by the condos by 8 o'clock and have it completely shut by 10 as usual.
Great.
Any other questions?
All right, I'll make a motion. I'll move
Motion?
to grant an indoor entertainment permit for a full band on on Sunday, August 6th, from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. To the Galley Kitchen and Bar at 95 Front Street, under the same conditions we just granted with respect to closing the windows on Saturday.
Second.
Second by Mr. Harris. Any more discussion?
Just
Anybody
one other
else?
thing I was going to say. What would be nice, if you can, is maybe just at some point touch base with one of us, the feedback as to how it went.
Sure.
Well, I don't know, just it's always nice to know, because if it worked out well, great. You don't have to, but if it's
Yeah, no,
something you
absolutely.
want to need to hear.
Yeah, feedback is the only way it's going to get even better next year, so, yeah, definitely.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Aye. Okay,
Thank you,
Thank
Erica.
you.
Good luck.
thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next for a discussion and vote is an outdoor entertainment license for Kennedy's Country Gardens. Chris, Kennedy?
You're giving that.
I said,
Chris?
well, I got it.
My application checks, who do I give those to?
You would give those to Lorraine.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you.
Did they pay for what?
So, hi, Chris. You are here to apply for an annual entertainment license
Correct.
for Kennedy's Country Gardens. Can you talk to us a little bit about what your plans are to do with regards to entertainment, if you are...
Okay. I'm new to this, so we've been approached by several groups over the years to have events there. People think we have a unique venue, and we've kind of tried to expand upon it a little bit to try to find revenue sources when business is slower, particularly. So when it gets hot and people go to the beach and they would rather be on their boat, they don't buy plants as much, so we're trying to just even our season out and be able to employ people and so forth and just get a little bit of additional revenue. It's not a big source of revenue, but it's something that helps us. And on a couple of occasions, the biggest event we had was Scituate Education Foundation had an event there, and they had, like a live auction, that type of thing. And I've been approached by other groups like that want to have an event and music. And I want to be able to have the ability to do that, although I don't really think that's going to be our primary thing. Our niche seems to be parties that are like anniversaries, birthdays, things like that, graduations that are 40 to 75 people. But occasionally someone wants to do something a little bit bigger, and it went off without a hitch in the winter in March. So,
And that's indoor, in your facility.
so we can do either. We can do indoor or outdoor. I have a patio in between two buildings that we could do something outdoor. So I'd like to have that option if I can. I understand that I'm not downtown Scituate, and I have a neighbor on the Board of Selectmen, so appreciative of that and understanding, and I will try to be respectful as I can on that. But I will say that I don't think it's going to be something that will happen on a regular basis. I do turn the radio on when we have outdoor events. I recently hosted some folks over there recently, and I don't know if I haven't had any complaints yet. So a lot of times I have 4 small speakers and things like that. So, but there will be an occasion where I think people will want a band.
And is that amplified to the back, Chris, or where does that amplification go? Because you'll have a lot of residents behind you as well.
Right. So my thought on that, and having not done one yet, I would push it out towards the river. And I don't really have any neighbors out there. I have one right behind me who seems very good about it. I've talked to him personally. And the neighbor, there's a neighbor like out on the island who I don't know. So
would this be I mean, is this more than just a change for an entertainment permit? You know, sort of changing your business plan? I just don't know if it requires anything additional since do you have a different classification as a nursery or a garden center?
No.
Okay.
I think you do,
John,
Chris.
do you?
I mean, one of the things that popped up was your, and I don't know, you're non-conforming use, is what my understanding is.
Right.
So you predate zoning. First thing that popped in my head was, okay, this is going outside the scope of what your business is. So I was going to actually say that we probably need to have an opinion as to whether you can actually do something like this, because generally it has to be in keeping with what the nonconformity is, which happens to be horticultural, I think, probably, and you know, and now this is kind of like a music entertainment. So I'm a little confused because I haven't actually looked into it, and I think that's something I need to know a little bit more about.
Okay.
And I understand where you're coming from to try to augment business. I know you say during the summer. I would think business would be leaner during the winter, but you know better than I.
Well, yeah, it's summer through fall,
and
then it's winter.
And I think the bigger issue, though, is because I'm like, if we're going to grant it for any of those, then I can understand. But I see this as, I'm not sure whether you're now going beyond the issue of use, and that's a concern I have, because I'm not really. If you're in the business district, that's part of the business. But this is something that's beyond the nonconformity. I would assume. So I kind of needed some guidance here from council on that. Is what I was thinking.
Tony?
Yeah, so Chris, I'm obviously right across the street from you. I'm in a butter.
Right.
I don't know who you had in March, but it sounded like Great Woods at my house, and it echoes. Did you hear Rhodes Marina on Wednesday nights? Or you guys are probably closed then.
Yes.
You know, they're almost probably a half a mile away.
Yep.
And they echo all the way past me to Woods. It's very, very loud in the areas when they do that sort of stuff.
Okay. Have you heard any music or anything at other events that we've had?
Well,
most of them have been small.
Birds chirp every day. So.
And I hear your pool parties, but I don't complain.
Mostly Sean. So it just gets very, very loud there, and it's.
I understand.
It's a residential area. So I don't think acoustical stuff is something that I think is probably right for that area. I don't know who was there on that night that you had that educational thing there. Was it a band, or was it a DJ, or what?
I think they just played music. I actually left like an hour before it started, but I know they had music and they had microphones and
yeah, it was very
all
loud.
that.
And the parking was crazy. People were parked on 3A. There was a police car out there.
Right.
So created havoc on traffic, blue lights going all over the place. Everyone
Right.
thinks there's an accident. So the parking is a big problem. I know they don't park down at the Knights of Columbus anymore on 3A, and I know that they don't park at Rhodes Marina
Right.
on 3A anymore. So
I have contacted a couple other business owners to be able to valet park people at other parking facilities that are okay with it.
Right.
If that's okay with you.
Oh, yeah, I don't think you can park on 3A, I guess is my concern. But you have a lot of land back there, too. Maybe there's other places to park. But that whole area, the music just carries like crazy. And I have a problem with amplified music there.
Okay.
Especially, I don't know if were they inside or outside that day? I really don't know.
They were inside.
Yeah, so even then, outside would have been worse. So I don't know what your thoughts are on there. I don't want to inhibit stuff for you to do to make money in the off-season as much, but I don't think that's what the use of that property was expected or has been used for the residents, and I don't think it amplified stuff is really good for that area.
Okay, so would you think that acoustic is okay on occasion? I mean, I don't think it's
Yeah.
like like
I
I
mean,
said, it's not an everyday thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would be against giving you an annual license. I think that, I don't have a problem with you coming before us and getting a license for different events. I don't know if you plan on doing this every weekend, but really, we only give annual licenses to people that's their activity of business.
Okay.
You know, they're a function hall, or they're a restaurant, or
Okay.
something, that's what they do.
Sure.
You know, you're a nursery, so who are trying to augment things by doing that, and then looking at it on a piece by, you know.
So you don't think I should have the ability to do it, or you don't think I have the legal right to do it? I'm not pushing it, I'm just trying to understand
I
your
don't know
perspective.
about the right.
Okay.
That's probably too strong.
Okay.
So I just think that's the right thing to do for that area, you know.
I understand, I'm not looking to upset everybody, I
No,
really
no.
not.
And, no, we've got along great. You guys do a great job there, and, you know, and I don't want to create any hindrance for you on some level, but I also
Thank
don't
you.
want to, you know, create a, you know, concert hall across the street either, because you will hear from all the neighbors at some point in time.
I agree. I agree.
Do you have any events planned in the near future that you're seeking to get a license for?
So the Norwell V&A does want to have an event at our store in September.
Okay, so you have some time.
They do, yep.
And you do as well. Just-
But I can go back to them and say, if they're going to have music, it has to be acoustic, if that's what you guys think is best. And you think that's something I could apply for on an individual basis as opposed to a year-round thing? And I'm sure that would work, I mean,
And typically involves, you know, notifying your abutters of the time of the event, that it's acoustic music, the date, obviously.
Okay.
And understanding, to Tony's point, the parking, but, I mean, if John, I mean, I share your concern as well, whether or not he's even zoned to operate like that, so where do we go to check that out, Tricia?
It's something perhaps we should have looked at beforehand, but we can get an answer pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get you that as well.
That's one other thing I want to mention, and I thought of it a couple times tonight. Did you send out letters to abutters?
I did.
Okay, so-
Is that right? We paid for the list and all that, I think. I wrote the letter.
Yeah.
I didn't. I emailed it, I thought I emailed it to you, I don't know how it works, I know I was paying to do it, so I wasn't sure what happened.
So I didn't get one.
Okay.
And that.
I wrote the letter, emailed it to the town, and
I
paid my
actually
fee.
saw a copy of the letter in the packet.
Okay.
I just never got it at my house.
All right, I didn't know the procedure.
Right.
It's all new.
No, I'm not criticizing. I'm thinking
Okay.
for us more, because a couple other times now it popped up too. I know we used to have things go out certified, and I think we have to put a timeline so that, like somebody else tonight said they got it this afternoon.
So, yeah, we can tell the person that the letter has to go out sooner and not the day of. We're not going to do it certified. The
Well,
Supreme
we'll
Court is...
decide whether we're going to do certified, but I think we have to get a time frame on it, and it has to be before, well in advance of whenever a meeting could come, so they could come up and voice their opinion. So,
We do communicate that to applicants.
yeah, I don't think it's happening. Or I get the sense, like the woman tonight said, I just got it today, I saw it when I
We
made
just made them come to the meeting, but we can talk about that after.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, I share his concern as well, just because I'm getting the sense that we just need a little bit more verification that abutters are actually getting notification.
Right. With the date of when the hearing is in advance time, so that they can actually show up.
So just, what you're saying is right, but the reality is that we get most of these complaints 3 or 4 days before you're actually, these requests 3 or 4 days before you're actually meeting. And several of the ones you saw tonight were because our office reached out to them because it was Heritage Days and we still had heard from them. Same situation in the Board of Health with food inspections. So you can put these parameters as long as when people miss those deadlines, they're out of luck to get the permit granted because they haven't met the deadline you established. That's all. It's all doable.
Yeah, no, we used to do it.
Yeah.
We still do the same procedure that we always.
No, we used to
do.
have certified. People used to have to come in with their
The
stack
only
of...
time, we always do certified for liquor licenses. It's required by law to do it for liquor
Yeah.
licenses. That's the only license that's required to have certified.
We may want to think about it. Somehow we just have to get people in the loop of...
Yep.
So that
And
they
we can
come to
do
a meeting.
certified, that's clearly an option. It will then have to be reflected in the cost of the entertainment permit, because it's very expensive to notify a butter certified.
Right.
We don't notify the abutters, the applicant will.
I understand that, but
Sean, did you have any?
The only thing I was going to say, you've already said it, Chris, you run a great operation. I first saw it and I was like, I couldn't figure out the music with plants. I just didn't see it. And the only thing I'd say that, you've been there 50 years, something like that, maybe longer. People moved into the neighborhood. You were, a florist, They didn't move into an area that might have music that might disrupt them. That's the only thing I'd like to say. An acoustic sounds like it might be a solution,
Yeah, I guess we'd have to see indoor, outdoor. I mean, I know you have indoor facilities that I would imagine indoor acoustic stuff wouldn't, be much of an issue at all, as long as the timing.
I think like you were talking about with Galley earlier, you're going to miss some of that part of it by being inside.
Yeah.
I mean, being in the greenhouse is awesome. In the wintertime, it's really cool. And even, even in the summertime, it's cool, but a lot of people want to be outside.
Yep.
And they see what Rote's doing and all that kind of stuff. I had this idea before, Rote did, but I've been proceeding cautiously with it, and most of my stuff has been on the smaller side. So the music isn't the biggest part of what it's about. I mean, when I have a wedding shower or a baby shower or a graduation party, that type of thing, we just have the little rock speakers on. So it sounds like that hasn't been an issue. It's the big events, and that would be the ones where we have to notify people, and hopefully I could get a permit once in a while to do that, and I'd be fine with it. But I don't want to be restricted necessarily, preferably, to be inside, if I can avoid that.
Did you have one more?
No, that's fine.
You good?
Yep, good.
Okay, so why don't we agree that an annual permit is
Okay.
the right solution.
All right.
If you can bring back some detail with regards to your September event.
Okay.
We'll handle it on an event-by-event basis
I think
for
that's the right thing to
acoustic.
do.
And also just double-check the zoning for your business to ensure that.
And let me just add one thing if I can. Everywhere I read, if you're not reinventing yourself as a business, you're not going to survive. In every industry magazine I read, every garden center is doing a lot of what we're doing. So I'm hoping you guys are open-minded to that, because I do want to be here 60 more years from now. We've survived this long, but we are isolated from the business community. We don't get invited, I shouldn't say invited. We didn't get included in a lot of the town events because of our location. We used to talk about this with PJs too. It's just we're secluded. I know I have neighbors, but I do have to find ways to be competitive. The internet is not going away, the box stores, all this other stuff, so.
One
And
thing
I
you
don't think
raised.
the board, I think we all, I'll speak for myself, but I think what I hear, we all support you and your ability to transform your business.
Right.
We just want to make sure that we're doing it properly so that all your neighbors understand that that's
Agreed.
what you're transforming into. And we work out the parking and things like that, so it's safe, all of those issues, Chris.
I agree.
So
I
I
agree.
personally support you expanding your business and recreating yourself if it's all, within those guidelines.
Great. Thank
The only thing I
you.
was going to point is this. You raise an issue which is a bigger issue, which is expansion of the business district in Greenbush. And maybe it's about time that the town begins to take a look at expanding the business from the roundabout all the way down to the bridge, because there are basically businesses A to Z. There's the gentleman across the road with ship sales, your
Right.
business, PJ's, you got the Knights of Columbus, the medical building. Maybe it's time to start thinking about making that stretch business. Whereas if that were the case, the issue of use is now irrelevant, because it would be permitted under whatever the uses of the business district would be. And it's allowed in Greenbush, so it would be allowed on 3A. But
Right.
It's another discussion for another day.
Appreciate that.
I don't think I'll vote in favor of that.
I don't think you will either.
Okay, so we'll connect with you with Lorraine, we'll connect with Chris.
Sure,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, good luck. Talk to you soon, I'm sure. Okay, next on the agenda, Lucky Finn for a common vehicular and indoor entertainment license, Mary Ellen and Christopher Stoddard.
Hi.
Hi, Mary Ellen, thank you for waiting. Yeah, we're a little behind tonight.
My daughter.
Doesn't look too happy.
It's summer, though. It's summer, you
You're
get
on
to stay up late.
television. All your friends are watching. Wave.
It's live TV. You're the new owners.
We are,
Lucky
yes.
Finn.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And can you tell us a little bit about what you're hoping to, looks like change, really, and seeking a different license here?
I don't think change so much. I mean, what drew us to the Lucky Finn, I think, is what draws everybody there. The simple lines, the homey, cozy, warm feeling inside, the great view. When we came to get some direction from Lorraine as far as filling out the application, obviously the common vic to recognize us as the new owners, so that we can go forward and change what we need to change at the Secretary of State's website. We kind of started to discuss entertainment with her. Would we ever be able to have an acoustic guitar player, a real coffee house feel on occasion, not on an everyday basis or even once a week or twice a week at this point. And more so if someone were to come and rent our space in the evening, again, to have a rehearsal dinner or a dinner party or something, and maybe they wanted to have, a violinist or a guitar player there. Indoor, not outside on the back deck, and certainly no amplification. So I just thought it would be the best step to just apply for one in its entirety. And if that's not the case, you can certainly direct us.
Sure. Oh, thank you. Everything is here, so you're looking to do the entertainment. The common vic, obviously, that's just
Yep.
procedure. So 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. for non-amplified guitars, singers, and violins, like you say, all weeks, Sunday through Saturday. Okay. Are those your hours of operation, 9 to 10?
Our hours of operation are 7 to 4:30, 7 days a week. And then if someone were to rent the facility, they'd only be able to rent in the evening, 6 to 10 p.m.
I personally think it's a nice idea. Does the board have any other comments? John, do you have anything?
I have no problems with it. I think it's a great idea.
Yep,
I
in the
think it's
business
nice.
district.
It's business district. It's exactly what we want to try to promote and make your business a success.
Great, thank you.
You did say stay inside, not even on
Yes.
the back deck?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
Oh.
Do you have a motion?
Is there anybody in the audience? Or?
Oh, sorry. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment?
You did receive a letter today from a resident of Moore who lives across the street.
I did see that.
Did we?
Yep.
She couldn't make it tonight, but she wanted.
In support of it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
No objection if amplified indoor outdoor music is played. Wish them good luck.
Oh,
And like we've said to others, if we hear from neighbors, then, we have to notify.
Well, they're acoustic inside, so.
Right, no, so we
Yeah.
probably won't. Right.
I think it's nice. Motion?
Move to approve an indoor entertainment permit for the Lucky Finn Cafe for indoor non-amplified music, acoustic guitar and singer, or violin player between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. Sunday through Saturday.
Second.
Second by Mr. Harris. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That one
Great.
carries for you. And we have one more.
Move to approve a common vic license
sorry.
for Lucky Finn Cafe located at 206 Front Street, pending Board of Health approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Harris. Any further discussion?
Same menu?
Yep.
Small adjustment.
There might be some additions, but
good.
I don't know of anything that's going away
Any
yet.
scones in that bag for Sean?
They're all sold out today.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You're all set.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you for waiting. Does anybody need
I gotta
a 2-minute break?
We take a quick, yeah.
Okay.
Take a break and then we'll go back.
I'm sorry, applicants, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and we will return to start with the, continue with the board and committee appointments. I know it's late, apologize. Okay, thank you.
You can pass those down here.
No, I'm good. I got hard candy.
This is going to be one of the requirements.
Yes. We are at the juncture of interviewing the board and committee applicants. Due to the lateness of the evening, we are going to interview everyone tonight, so I just want to set expectations. We probably won't be appointing anyone, so you don't have to stick around after we go through the interview process. So do you folks, are you guys set?
Yes.
Is Nick Grove here?
Which one are we starting
Economic
with?
Development Committee? Okay, so Nick's not here. He may have been here. Richard Taft for the Beach Commission. Hi, Richard, come on forward. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
Great, thanks for waiting. So if you could tell us your name and address and a little bit about yourself. We have your application in front of us, and you know, what your interest is with the Beach Commission, that would be great.
Sure. My name is Richard Taft. I live at 74 Brook Street. Moved to Scituate about 3 years ago. And since I moved here, started fishing, surf fishing. So I've walked the beaches from pretty much Minot to Rexham. And also because I live in Brook Street, which is near the harbor, my family goes down to Peggotty a lot. So I had an interest in volunteering for something. And it seemed like the Beach Commission was a good place to spend, a fun place to spend some effort.
Great. I'm trying to make sure I have all your information. So the Beach Commission is a great commission, really looking to utilize some of the funds that come from the revolving fund of our beach stickers to make improvements on the beaches. From a professional aspect, are there certain attributes that you think you would bring to the commission that you would?
Well, I mean, I'm just business person, engineering degree.
There you go.
Have, you know, I guess, worked all over the world and live here. So I really like living here in Scituate and want to just be, contributing to some small part of it. And like I said, I have a hobby that puts me on the beach a lot, so they kind of all converge together.
Is there anything that you've seen that you elsewhere that you think maybe the town of Scituate should look into as a part of the beach committee at all?
Yeah, I mean, when I've looked at when I've walked a lot of the other beaches, there seem to be a little bit and it's not that they're big, but a little bit more facilities when it comes to actually at the beach parking areas. When you talk about like a little facility, I go all the way down to the canal sometimes, fish down there. Even there's a place to go to the bathroom or wash up. When you talk about, so that's just for beach access. During the 4th of July 3rd, first year I stayed here for July 3rd and went down to Peggotty for the privately sponsored fireworks displays.
Yep.
And really wasn't enough facilities there for, I guess, the 500 people that were, or 1,000 people that were on that beach. I mean, that parking lot was full. And there was one bathroom. It was disgusting. So needs to be a little bit more, I guess, a recognition that that's an event, like any of the other events that we have, and it deserves a little bit special attention. That beach is a nice beach. It's one of the nicer beaches from a sanding standpoint. It should have a little bit more focus and highlight among the beaches that we have. As far as my hobby, there's not a lot of real great access to our beaches. For the shore, I should say the shoreline. We do spend a lot, we are spending a lot of investment in making sure the shoreline stays there for the things you guys talked about earlier today. So, the walls down at Minot are nice because there's a couple of spots down there that are parking on the wall in addition to the parking lot. So if you wanted to access some other part of the Minot beach, you can, reasonably. There's some nice access in the Sand Hills area. It's a kind of an unofficial, there are unofficial little parking areas that you can park. I really hope that those don't go away when a wall is put up there. I'm not sure what is happening with the wall in between Shore Acres and Sand Hills as far as some kind of minor bits of parking that would be nice for people like me that want to access different parts of our shoreline. When you look at Humrock. Humrock's a great beach access where the parking lot is, but it's a 4-mile-long beach. There's really no practical way to access ends of the beach. The end of the beach at Wrexham is beautiful, has a great point, has a great surf point, has great dunes, but practically speaking, you can't access it. And as somebody who lives and wants to access our shoreline, it's really hard to. Same thing with the other end of the beach at Humrock, Fourth Cliff. There's really no good access. There was some unofficial access, and yet in this summer it was more strictly enforced, so you can't access that end of the beach. There's plenty of beach access points. So I'm not referring to the beach access points. I'm talking about somebody that doesn't live on the shore in an area that would like to go access that part of the beach. There's really no practical access to those areas. The Spit may be the most beautiful part of our natural beach area, really hard to access. But it's a beautiful place to fish. It's a beautiful place to sit out at low tide. Everyone knows that. All the boats there, but if you don't own a boat, it's hard to do. So, I don't know. That's kind of a long answer to your question.
No, it's a good answer. You've got a lot of good ideas as far as access, whether you get a boat and you take a pontoon and get people from Whittles Walk out to the Spit, people who don't have access, but that would be a great thing the Beach Commission could come up with if you can find additional parking to those points of access, whether it's up and down Humrock, Fourth Cliff, and be able to do just what you're saying, or, certainly with facilities at Peggotty or at another option would be Egypt, because the sewer pipe's right there. These are great things that the Beach Commission's been charged to do and to take a look at, and that's why I think when the chairman was saying it's a great committee or commission, it really is, because there's all these positive things that can be done to better the beaches for the public as well as other people. So
yeah, and I mean, I love the raw, natural part of our beaches, and the fact that there are, more family, traditional beach access, but that doesn't mean that the people that live here don't want to access those, more raw parts of the beach.
Right.
Because there's lots of things, the seals hang out in the rocks. They don't necessarily hang out in the sandy parts of the beach. And those are kind of cool, so. Anyway.
Well, thank you.
Sean?
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks, and thank you for waiting. Appreciate it. Kim, for the Veteran Services Advisory Board? Kim Stewart. Thank you. Thanks for waiting. So we've got 2 openings on the Veteran Services Council. Kim, we're all familiar with you, but if you could, for the record and
Sure.
for the public.
Sure. Kim Stewart, 35 Brook Street. I'm seeking one of the civilian positions on the council.
And would you like to just share with us a little bit as to why you would like to expand your volunteerism to yet another committee?
Well, I've recently given up one of my larger volunteer commitments, so, last year, so I do have a little bit of time. I have a special spot in my heart for veterans, and I understand that the charter of this council is to work closely with the veteran service officer and whatever he might need. So I have a little experience with nonprofits, small events, large events, that type of thing, and I think I might be able to fit in.
I'm sure you'd be great. Does anybody else have questions for Kim?
You got my vote.
Kim's done a great job for the community. I think you do a great job there, too.
Thank you.
Great fit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting, Kim.
Thank you.
All right.
And thank you to Lorraine. I don't know how she keeps this all together. I really don't.
She does do a great job doing that.
Better and better.
And we'll appoint at the next meeting, Kim.
Okay, good night.
Okay, thanks so much.
I nominate Ken.
I don't want to pronounce this wrong. Is it Reiko Russin?
It's Reiko.
Reiko? Hi, Reiko. Sorry, I apologize. So, Reiko, you're applying for, you'd like to volunteer for the Council on Aging?
Yes, I do.
You give the board, I think, 1 second. We're just getting to our Council on Aging section. And thank you for waiting. Appreciate it. So, Rako, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. We have some great applicants this year with some great background.
I am Dr. Rako Russin. I'm a retired neurologist. I practiced for 35 years in private practice in adult neurology in the city of Pasadena in the state of California. I retired about 5 years ago, came to Scituate, and everybody thought I was crazy.
I was going to say. Welcome. The other side of the
But I have one daughter and her family, and they are so enchanted with Cohasset they won't leave. They will never come to the West Coast, and that was made very clearly to me. So, it's hard to imagine. People don't know about Scituate in California. They don't even know how to pronounce it, let alone write it. And but when they come and visit me, they know, and they say, no, you live in a paradise. So they're happy I live here. But during my retirement, I would like to, I have gained a sense of community with Scituate and have loved it. And in order to, I think that I need to do more action than just love alone. And with the action, I think that you have to do a service. The service and the actions are together. And with the action, the service part of it would be to help with the population, especially the senior citizen age group, because I dealt with this as a neurologist, and that the empathy and the compassion that needs to be integrated into this community, and to have people realize that you can't isolate this group of people, that they need to have an integration into our community in order to survive happily. And also studies have shown that dementia, the medications we have are not working. They may shorten, they may prolong our ability to stay functional. But one of the alternatives also is socialization. And this is what is so important, is not to isolate this one group of, the population in the community, which seems to happen. There's communities that are 50 plus, they're residential, retirement living, and I don't think they hardly ever see children unless they have grandchildren. So this needs to be addressed and looked into, and to have more empathy and compassion with this group of people.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's a conversation that takes place a lot in this town, is whether how we integrate the elders with
Exactly.
the students and the children in town, and make it a more vibrant community. We always seem to be segregating ourselves.
Right. In Pasadena, I was actively involved in a program called CAPS, which was associated with the Fuller Seminary, and they were trying to incorporate this. It was more of it was almost like a respite for the caretaker, who was usually a spouse, but also it integrated the ability to have these patients deal with people younger than they are, and also the school children that came around after school hours, just to be with them. And so I think that this is something that has to be looked into, instead of looking at just all the medicines that we have to stop dementia because it's not working. That we need to look at other aspects of life also. And I think there's a fairly large amount of senior citizens in the city of Scituate. So
we're building a new senior center, possibly.
Yes.
Community center.
Community, right now, yeah, possibly. What do you think?
Heritage Center.
What do you
Depends on
think,
what you want to call it.
if you had to pick one or two things that you think are the most important things about a senior center, what would you say?
Well, I think that the most important thing about the senior center would be that it's a comfort space, and there has to be space.
Comfort, you said?
Yes, it would be comfortable for the person to come, and also it's not segregated into the woods all by itself. that, I know one of the ideas is the library complex. And, I visited Marshfield, which has their senior citizen, the center with their library, and it was a very nice lecture they gave and so on. But I think that the ability to have more people involved, not just one age group, but to have different age groups all there together is a good idea.
Great. Thanks.
John?
No, one thing I ask, not just you, because I know we have another person after this and then another, is that there are only, is it one opening for this?
One.
Four.
What's that?
4 renewals, 1 opening.
For the renewals. Would you be at least open, anybody who's applying for it, that the Council on Aging would consider like a subcommittee of some capacity in getting involved? There's just so many good qualified people is what I'm looking at, saying consider it, because I don't want somebody to say no and then be deterred by them saying I don't want to be involved. Yeah, that's what happens sometimes, and I'm like, you're just so many good qualified people, that's all.
What do you mean by subcommittee?
In other words, that the Council on Aging could have different subcommittees underneath, dealing with new building, dealing with programs, dealing with other situations within that they're looking to do. And I'm curious to see if they do have any, and that's what I'm actually asking the Council on Aging, like what they have with it. They might be interested, because there are a lot of people who are interested in getting involved, who may not be actually council members, but members underneath the council in a subcapacity, in a subcommittee capacity.
I understand that, but what I think it's one of the most important things is to have one package that's neatly packaged.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed, you can have the subcommittees, but I don't know what a subcommittee entails if it doesn't involve what my specialty would be, which is neurology, dementias, Parkinson's, and this encompasses, memory clinics, physical activity, and, the way I got involved with this, the Council on Aging was that I started playing pickle at the Jenkins School. And it is sponsored by the Senior Center. And it's a wonderful physical activity for our group age. It keeps us moving. We're not prone to have injuries with it. So I'm not sure if I would fit into a subcommittee, is what I'm trying to tell you.
I see. Okay.
Uh-huh.
No, thank you.
Sean?
No, I don't have any questions. Just big problem we're going to have is trying to choose just one, unless others drop off. I just said to Mara, we've never had this. Years ago, we couldn't fill this commission.
Right.
It was just a testament to this, how important this issue is.
Right.
Yeah,
It is.
to everybody. So I hope, however this turns out, we're not going to vote tonight, that you will stay engaged and that we can tap into as well. We'll be voting in a couple weeks at our next meeting. And like Sean said, we have 3 medical doctors that have come forward to apply, who you all are so terrific. So I don't know how we're going to do this. So we appreciate you coming forward, and hope
you're
that
welcome.
you stay engaged regardless of what happens. So hopefully it works out.
Have you been attending the meetings, just you have an idea, besides the, the whole the need for the new center? Have you been?
The only, truthfully, the only meeting I attended was for the senior center, where they presented the 4 sites. And
Okay.
And that's happening again this Thursday. There's 2 more meetings where the public has an opportunity to ask even more questions. And it's happening at the new Performing Arts Center. Just so you know, there's another session if you have any further questions with regards to it.
yes.
Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, I don't know if I could make a comment, but
Sure.
to the doctor and being part of the seniors force and everything else, when I hear the subcommittee, which I think is great, especially if we have a wealth of medical people going to be coming to this, that would be your subcommittee. with you and, say, another doctor, and I'm a nurse, the most important thing, and you have brought it forward, is there is no program here in Scituate for Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, any neuro whatsoever. Plus, it then would tie into the disability commissions also. So, I mean, it's a whole family. And that's where I think we really should be looking at some of these committees, to really integrate them. Maybe not call them subcommittees, because I know some people really want to sit at that table and think that subcommittees don't have any authority, but they really do, because I think if we have the wealth now in the town of this amount of expertise, because many of us are aging, and we're aging out of our professions, that we have so much to offer, that there aren't enough spaces, as Sean said, on the board. You know, so I mean, what are you gonna do, throw us all away? No, I mean, you need us. So that's something, Doctor, I was just thinking that you may not think of it that way.
Well, actually, there's a very nice program that I visited in Marshfield, which is held in a gymnasium, and it's for Parkinson's, and I think they were on Fox News, in fact, and tried to get Scituate interested in it because it's boxing, and there was a special on 60 Minutes, and on how it helps a Parkinsonian patient. Even though we think of pugilistic Parkinson as Muhammad Ali, this is not head trauma. This is movement and integration of the movement to help them move and try to move faster, etc. And I did go to their program, and it was a very nice program. Met the people who went there. There were at least 20 people there. I was very surprised at the amount. And they came from Hanson, Bridgewater. They did not all come from just Scituate and Marshfield. They came from all over. And, you know, I've been hoping that somebody would take this up. But there is no boxing program really in Scituate. Well, there is, but actually I take boxing, so and I think it's very important to have these physical activities, especially for people even who you look at and you think, how could that person possibly get into a boxing ring, like with Parkinson's? But it does. I saw them, and they work, and they move well. So there are programs available.
Well, I hope that you can help our committee. So I thank you for coming in tonight and for waiting.
Oh, you're welcome.
And you're a terrific candidate.
Thank you.
So we will vote on the 8th.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you. It's great to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Caitlin Coyle. Hi, Caitlin. How are you this evening? So you are here also to put in your application for the Council on Aging.
Yes.
You as well have your PhD.
That's
I'd
right.
go through your resume, but we don't have enough time.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit about why you'd like to join the Council on Aging? What sort of, I guess at this point, what you would bring to the table, knowing the situation where we are today, where we're trying to head, listening to the conversation that we just had, you know, what kind of skill set beyond your obvious, you know, fabulous professional credentials, would you bring to the committee that you think would benefit the town?
Right. So I'm at 2 Blueberry Lane. I've been in Scituate for just about a year. My husband and I moved here last summer. And so we're finally feeling a little bit settled, and I'd like to get involved in the community. And when I reflect on sort of what I could contribute the most to the community, I think naturally of the Council on Aging is I do have my PhD in gerontology. And part of what my little research center does is work with municipalities throughout Massachusetts to help them plan for the aging of their population. To date, we've worked with over 20 communities in the Commonwealth. to identify sources of data for them to use to make educated, informed decisions about the planning for their senior centers in terms of space, but also from a sort of a wider community perspective on sort of how to accommodate what we know is a growing population of people in municipalities, really all over the world, but also true here in Massachusetts. So I think what I could bring to the committee is a sensibility about good data and how we can use that to make good decisions. I also am a young person, as you can tell. And so I think that, especially when we're thinking about a community center model or a model that's perhaps more age integrated and less age segregated, certainly would have a young person perspective to contribute to the community, recognizing that it's a big decision and it's a big, to build a new senior center is something that's going to influence the community for generations to come. And so to really be able to bring my expertise and my perspective to those decisions is something that I'm excited about being able to do and just get better connected in the community.
Thank you.
I like the fact that you've raised over $1 million in grant money.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah, there's that too. And
Can we put you on a couple other things?
I know, I think we should hire her, not
Right, so I'm an academic by training. I write grants. It's sort of my bread and butter in terms of my profession. So that's certainly something that, if that's something that, I'm not sure that that's been done by the Council on the board. I don't know if that's something that's regularly happens in the Council on Aging, but it's certainly something that we could explore.
Sometimes, but I think there certainly is always room for improvement, especially as we look to build a facility that I personally think needs to be integrated so we can apply for more grants, because we're a wealthy community, so we don't always satisfy the requirements for grants for senior, initiatives.
Yep.
We didn't, at least back in 2003.
Yeah.
So certainly would love to have someone with your skill set to continue to explore that.
Yeah. The other thing that, my personal sort of research interest has been around sort of social determinants of health, and particularly around social networks and social isolation as it relates to health behaviors. And I think, the previous applicant, brought this up, the issue of isolation. I think in a community like Scituate, you've got folks living in single-family homes, families are moving far, all over the country, and you end up with folks who have a tendency to be isolated. And I think that's something that affects the community in a lot of ways, and isn't always something that, we talk about it and we recognize it as an issue, but really understanding how do we get to those people, and how do we, if you can't get them connected to the proper services, how do we at least build an awareness so that as a community, when there's a crisis, we can respond without an excess of resources. So things like that, I think, are also just, aside from the building situation, I think that that's just that would be another priority for me, is to really address that issue.
That'd be great. We have a great social worker, and I'm sure you'd be a great asset to that team as well.
Mhm.
John, any questions?
No.
John?
No, thank you.
No, thanks for applying. Again, we've got another extremely qualified person, so we've got to figure out how to use this
How to
great
utilize
wealth
it's crazy.
of people.
Okay.
Thanks for applying.
Thank you for waiting.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're the liaison for that, right?
Janet DiMatteo for the Commission on Disabilities. Hi, Janet.
Hi.
Oh.
That is why you should have me on this committee, but it was a good way, isn't it? Hi, Janet.
How are you?
Good. Janet DiMatteo, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, that was my brother-in-law, who lived in the town. Janet DiMatteo at 44 Hatchet Rock Road. I attended a couple of the Council on, Council on Aging, Council on Aging, and that's how I actually met John. And their presentation that evening really surprised me, because we were sitting in the senior center, and I never realized the senior center wasn't sort of up to code, if you will. We needed things done in the bathroom, the parking spaces needed to be repainted, signs needed to go up, and I thought, wow, I really thought that would have been something that would have been really a top priority. So what I bring to the table, as the previous people, is I am in the medical field. Mostly my entire career has been working with mostly the mentally challenged, mentally disabled, homeless populations, mainly in the inner city of Boston. And they're a tough group. And I'm an advocate for them, and so therefore their disabilities I really understand. My brother-in-law also is mentally challenged, and he was one of the earlier cases that, back in the day, all the decentralization of the mental institutions, and they basically turned all these people out with no plan. There was no place for them to live, there was no adequate ways to get in and out of the buildings. They mostly were either housed on the streets or they went into nursing homes at that age, a very young age. So with all of that, yes, we've come a long way, but I still think that, you know, Scituate is a very affluent area. And when I previously served on the Board of Health, there were issues there with, say, licensing and looking into our restaurants and so on. And that was just for food prep. I think some of the restaurants need to be relooked at for safety and access. So those are some of the things that, being a resident here of over 30 years, I've observed as a citizen, actually served on some boards, and had a business here in town. So I feel I'm a little well-rounded, plus I'm still active, I'm still working, I'm still in the inner city of Boston, and I still have those same patients. So, you know, again, that's what I feel I could really bring to the commission, you know, so, all right.
John, any questions?
No, I actually think you'd be a welcome addition to it.
Thank you.
And have you been to any of the meetings yet?
Yes, I did go. After I met John that night at the senior center, I then attended one of the meetings, and then I've been away for a couple of weeks. And so this was the first meeting in front of you I could come to. And I'm anxious, if I am appointed, to, you know, get in there with my feet. That's the one thing I do, even with years ago with the Board of Health. You know, that's a tough board to be on. You're not well-liked, and we were the ones who started the Title V. That's how long ago it was. Sean was a kid, so, and I had to give it up because I got too many phone calls at home, so, you know, it is. So I'm used to that. I'm used to rolling up my sleeves, and really, I'm an advocate, you know. I mean, if I put my mind to it, I really want to fight for you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you. Sean, did you
No, I
have
was
a
just going to
question?
say, this is great, 4 openings, 4 applicants. So that's all I was going to say. And thank you for volunteering, right?
Yeah,
Am I-
absolutely. No, you're not reading it wrong. It's great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for staying. You're welcome. Appreciate it. John McLaughlin? Hi, John.
Hey, everyone. I'm sure I passive all cross in the past. I've been the chairperson for Commission's Abilities. I've been trained and certified in a lot of aspects. When I've gone to the Council of Aging, I try to help them when it came to key points in regards to what I call levitation. That means people can actually stay in Scituate and make alterations to their home. So they would talk to me on the side and help them that way. The reason why I'm proactive right now is because with engineering, both mechanical and structural, I know the aspects of lifts and all the new technology coming in. And with the new seniors community center coming in, I'd be a great asset to be on the board to get that up and running. Because I know it's going to take more than 1 year. It's going to probably be a 3-year process till it's from start to finish. So.
Are you planning on switching boards, or are you planning on serving on both boards?
Serving on both.
Sean?
No, I've known John for about almost a year now, and I haven't been liaison to the Commission on Disabilities, but I've gotten to know John quite well, and when he's not at meetings at night, I see him on the islands, helping make the islands up.
My daughter's project, yes.
Yes.
She volunteered for
Thank you
us.
for
Yeah.
everything, yeah.
I think your expertise would be, you know, a benefit to the Council on Aging. I think it's going to be a difficult year to get on there with all the great people there, but I think it's, I think you have a little niche that is...
Well, I have overlap with a lot of, even your wife with the recreation department, because a lot of things, everything affects disability issues, every committee and every commission.
Right.
And that's why I was proactive and got other members involved.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
Thanks for applying.
Oh, I've known John. I've known John for a number of years.
All right. John, thank you for waiting.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Carly Desmond? Hi, Carly. Hi. How are you? Good, how are you? So you are here to apply for the Sustainable South Shore Committee.
Mm-hmm.
You want to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure.
Name and address. And
Sure.
Then, yeah.
I'm Carly Desmond. I live at 38 Thomas Ave. I've been a Scituate resident for 8 years. I'm a registered nurse at South Shore Hospital. I don't really have much environmental or ecology experience, but I am passionate about climate change and trying to find a better way to improve sustainability measures in the South Shore in Massachusetts, since it will directly affect us, as we all are aware.
Excellent. And so you would be one of 2 representatives on this South Shore Committee.
Yeah.
Do we currently have anybody that serves on this?
It's brand new.
That's what I
Brand
thought
new.
when I was reading it, but then the bylaws said 2010, so that was confusing to me. That's terrific. John, any questions? Or?
No, I'm reading the mission of it, and I have to say, it's going to be an interesting commission or committee, I think. You know, I mean, these are issues that are long-term issues that, frankly, a lot of towns are, shall we say, ignoring because they're hot-button issues, but they're significant long-term. So, I mean, I'm glad that you've decided to step up, both you and also Lisa, because, I mean, this is going to be very interesting to see, you know, for the coming years, 25 years, 30 years, and a lot of things are going to begin to dovetail into it. Redoing zoning bylaws to make sure that it's comports with a lot of the environmental issues that we're beginning to see. So thank you for stepping up.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'd add is it's new, so you guys will be kind of treading the trail, you know.
Sure.
Creating the path, and you know, we're already so strong in this area in the town that I think it'll be a lot to learn and a lot to pass on to other communities in terms of the green initiatives that we've done, so.
Sure.
Yeah, you may,
Great.
after you're appointed, because there are 2
Right.
spots.
Sure.
I think I can assume that you'll probably get appointed. You might want to schedule some time with Al Banger, who, you know, has been very instrumental in leading a lot of our sustainable initiatives here in green energy here at Scituate.
Sure.
To get up to speed. Sean?
Availability, I was just looking to see, you know, do they meet nights or days?
It's just, I think it was just 4 times a year.
Okay.
So it's not a large, you know, a big amount
Well,
of
that would
time.
be all the more, you know, is your, being a nurse, a little flexible to make 'em and-
I am flexible. You know, I am.
Great.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Any other questions? Do
Nope.
you have any questions for us?
Nope.
Okay, great. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
for coming.
waiting, and thank
Thank
you for
you.
volunteering, putting your application in.
You're next.
Lisa Scanlon? Sorry, Lisa. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Well, you had the wherewithal to come late, or later. Some people
I
came
actually
early.
didn't. I was in the hall.
Were you? Oh,
Yeah.
no, sorry.
Chatting away with all the
Sorry.
people, and yeah, there you go.
So name and address, please. for
Lisa
record.
Scanlon, 15 Poplar Ave.
Okay, and if you could tell us just a little bit about yourself, and, you know, thank you for stepping up for the Sustainable South Shore.
Thank you. Yeah, the environment and the 3 R's for the environment have been a passion of mine for many years. I'm an educator by trade, so that's where I believe it sort of stems from, that we need to be educated in what we can do. And I've been doing a program at Jenkins School now for 3 years. They put together that, done a lot of research on what other communities have been doing, what other countries have been doing. They're a lot better than we've been doing when it comes to particularly just recycling, but reduce, reuse, recycle, all of it ties in together. And when I saw that this was a committee for the whole South Shore working together, I thought, oh, you know, this is great. And you did mention someone who, for the town, who does a lot.
Well, Al Banger,
Okay.
who works in our office, in the Board of Selectmen office there with the team here. Ms.
Oh,
Vickers.
okay.
So he's spearheaded a lot of this. He's been the project manager on a lot of the projects.
Oh, excellent.
So he would
I'd
just
love
be
to
a
talk
good
to.
point of reference to meet before you go to these meetings, in my
Oh,
opinion.
Yeah.
As well as numerous other people in the building.
Okay.
Yeah, because you might be able to take both you and Carly, you know, things that we've applied that other communities might be able to utilize, but then again,
Absolutely.
take back information that we could actually implement even further. That's going to be the benefit, I think, out of it, I hope, because you'll become the ones who have the most information from, you know, utilizing South Shore information to bring back to us so that we can maybe say, that's a great idea, let's try to do it. I mean, we've done the escrow, we've done the stretch code, we've done, obviously, the solar, we've done the wind turbine. You know, there's still other things that we could do. Al was trying to get more recycling and maintaining our, you know, record of being the
barrels, all kinds of.
rain barrels. I mean, these are small things, but they keep adding up and making it nicer and better for our town, and I'm sure there are things that we could probably even implement further, so.
All right, great.
I've known Lisa for many years, and I think she'd be great on the committee. She's dedicated, smart, and,
Thanks,
you know,
Tony.
if you have the time to do it, that's
Thank
the
you.
big thing in people's lives right now.
Right,
finding time to do
time.
it.
I was gonna say, if you find some time, sit down with Tricia. You know,
Yeah.
we're so far ahead of all the other communities. I mean, they just gave Al all kinds of accolades, but right there's the one that's got us Scituate way out in front because of Tricia.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Do that.
Yes,
All right.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
for
Thanks.
waiting.
Thanks for coming in, Lisa.
Linda Murray? Hi, Linda. How are you? I'm great. Thank you for waiting. So Linda's here to apply for the Coastal Advisory Commission. So Linda, your address, a little bit about yourself, and
It's 84 Central Avenue in Hummerock. I've lived in Scituate my whole life as a summer resident and 20 years as a full-time resident. I worked on a committee with Nancy Dufree. We did the coastal resource, and we did the grant for, that we just put forward, and I really enjoyed it, so I thought I would continue on this committee.
and how did you help her?
We did a lot of, a lot of searching. We went through all the, I went to the registry, well, actually, Richard and I both went to the registry firm, pulled out all the deeds, and tried to get some background on what went on in Hummerock and the property, who owned what, and how the beach was owned, and there's a little controversy on that.
And you live right on Hummerock, correct?
I do.
Yeah. And you want to, your husband's stepping off, right?
He's
Richard, you're
stepping off, and I'm-
down?
For that, not off of conservation.
Right, just off of this one, right. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Linda?
Have you been to any of the meetings? Have you,
Which ones?
Coastal,
Coastal Resource, yes, I have.
what'd you think?
Need some work.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah. I work in a law office, so I kind of am used to stress, conflict.
Did you bring those organizational skills to the committee? Because I would say that's probably what's needed most, or some.
I hope I would do. I hope I would, yeah.
I think what that committee really needs are people to dive in and be doers.
Mhm.
In my opinion, we need a lot of, that's a challenge right now.
Well, and I will say this, committees, boards, there are always times where there's going to be stress. It happens.
Mhm.
Happens up here, you know, going to have a really contentious meeting or
I'm used
hearing,
to
and
that.
then it gets there. But I think overall, you know, I'd love to know, it shouldn't be that every meeting. One of the worst things for any committee or board is to have stress every single meeting, because it takes away from the things that are getting done. Members begin to say, I don't want to deal with it anymore, I have other better things to do. So, yeah, if there's a lot of stress in these meetings, I'd like to know, because we as a board, since we're the appointing authorities, we need to make sure that people are respectful at these meetings. And I'm not saying you've obviously received it, and I'm like, I would like to I'll go to a few. I know, Maura, you're the liaison for them, but I'm like, to me, that's very important that people are respectful for it. You shouldn't have to have stress. I'm in a legal setting too, and I know what that stress is like, and I'm like, the last thing I want to do is get from a stressful situation to go to another one on my off time, you know, when I'm not doing my family, or being with a family, or doing my job. I mean, But you don't need to answer because you're the applicant, but I'm just using that as an observation.
Sean?
Nope, I don't have anything else to ask.
Tony?
No. So, well, maybe. So which one of the openings, is it the resident one? Because this is, aren't there different?
So I think what we have to do, yeah, there are different ones, so I think there are folks that can shift around.
Okay.
And also, at the next meeting, we're going to look at amending the,
Right, some of the
the
qualities.
mission and some of the qualifications, and also add an additional member. So we have some work to do on that, so.
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Thank
We're
you.
waiting
Thank you.
on that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Sarah Murdoch, hi Sarah.
Hi.
Thanks for coming. Thanks
Thanks.
for waiting. You know, everybody here works.
Past my bedtime.
So you're here also to apply for the Coastal Advisory Commission. If you could share with the board name, address, and your background?
Sure.
I think that'd be great.
Sarah Murdoch, 377 First Parish Road. And I've worked in environmental policy, working mostly at the federal level for about 30 years. And right now I work on coastal resilience issues at the federal level with kind of senior level of federal agencies and also doing lobbying on the Hill.
Hill as in Beacon or as in Capital?
As in Capital.
Capital, wow.
Yeah.
You're qualified.
Think?
You've seen a lot of stress. I can tell you that.
Day to day.
Sean, any?
Not right now, but I might. Give me a minute. Well, certainly.
I don't have a lot of
after the
questions
others.
for Sarah, because I.
No, Sarah, your background is obviously
Yeah, crazy good.
Speaks for it.
great head-on of what we're trying to do here. You know, I think we'll have to juggle around, although you could probably be a couple of these. And this is a committee that we support, and we're looking for advancement in terms of what the group's doing, so I think you bring a lot to the table.
Thanks. For some time, I've really been wanting to contribute something to the town, and obviously this is something professionally that I can bring some expertise. This issue in particular, I think, is a big challenge for the town, and so I'd like to try to help address it.
And we welcome your expertise, and we appreciate you volunteering and putting your time forth, because I know you're busy too, as we all are, so. And I thank you for waiting tonight. Do you have anything else, any additional questions?
No,
Anybody?
just availability, and that works for you, the meetings?
Yeah,
Work schedule?
hopefully. I am in DC a couple times a month, but.
They meet once a month, so.
Mhm.
Hey, we had a selectman who used to do that.
He's no longer here.
All right, I don't want to keep her any later.
Thank you for coming in.
Sarah, thanks so much for
Thank
waiting.
you
I
very
know
much.
it's been a long
Yeah.
night,
Thank you.
so thank you so much for coming in. Paula?
Hi.
Paula, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Great, thanks for
Good.
waiting.
Oh, no problem,
So
happy
Paula's
to.
here also to apply for a position on the Coastal Advisory Commission.
Yes.
So name and address, your
Okay.
name, obviously, and a
Yep.
little bit about your background.
Great, thank you. I'm Paula Jewell. I'm at 31 New Kent Street, and been there about, I guess, 15 or 16 years. I have a somewhat similar background to Sarah, but I'm actually now an educator. I teach science at the middle level in Cohasset. But before that, I had run my own nonprofit that worked on estuarine issues, and before that was in the Coastal Zone Management Office as part of the National Estuary Program, the Mass-based program, and then before that was in DC and did some lobbying, not on just coastal issues, on a variety of issues. So I think I can bring all of that background, as well as I liked when I was reading about the mission, that it's about research as well as outreach and education, and being an educator, I feel like I can do a good job of kind of bringing things to a level that are easier for people to hopefully understand.
That skill set and that would be so important, because I think that's one of our biggest challenges is articulating the different remedies and the impact that it's going to have on residents.
Right.
That seems to be, and that is really where the commission spends a lot of time, is
Mhm.
is working through that and communicating that throughout the community.
Right.
So it'd be a great asset.
Great.
Anyone?
Paula, for many years.
Hi, Tony.
Done a great job, and I think you do a great job. Obviously, your background is as stellar as the candidates, and I think it'd be a good team. So I think if we figure out how to get them all on by juggling some of these requirements around, I think we could, really advance the
Great.
committee.
I think it'd
Awesome.
be a great asset to Kevin and Nancy and all of town
Yeah.
hall, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great.
And is this
Anything
the only
else?
committee that you're, I know, is this the only committee that you're interested in, just the coastal advisory?
I am open to other suggestions. This would be my primary interest, but if you, do you have something in mind, Maura?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, I just like to ask that question. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any other questions for Paula?
No, other than thank you.
Yeah, thanks for
Okay,
coming in.
my pleasure.
Coming in and
Thank you.
Right.
No problem.
Have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
And I know.
And then Mike Clark?
How are you? Good. Good, nice to see you.
Hi, Mike, how are you?
Good, thanks, Maura. How is everyone tonight?
Good.
Mike,
Good. I'm
good.
glad to hear that. It's a late night.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was next door instead of waiting in here. So my name is Michael Clark. I live at 103 Stockbridge Road. I'm a partner in a civil and environmental engineering firm. And just another little technical point, I'm active in the Mass Association of Conservation Commissioners. And in part of that role, I've taught some of their courses on fundamentals that they use to train new commissioners. So I have a pretty good professional background. So as a commissioner, I think you have two responsibilities. One is on the regulatory side, where you review projects and apply the Wetlands Protection Act regulations to the project, and also the town's stormwater regulations. I think I have kind of a unique position where I work in that area every day. I understand the regulations. I understand how all the permits interact, and have a pretty good understanding of, how to interpret the regulations, so that when projects are conditioned and/or denied, that you stand a good chance of being successful in appeal. So I think on the review side of things, I would bring a strong technical background. On the other side, conservation commissioners, I don't think it's talked about enough. We're stewards of the land the Conservation Commission is in charge of. And in my former time on the commission, I took that to heart. We implemented, at that time, there was a plan that was in place for the Driftway and North River Marshes access. That resulted in 2 pedestrian access projects. Also resulted in another report that was done by another engineering firm for improvements at Driftway Park. I would like to see those projects implemented. I was very disheartened when I saw the commission return some CPC money for access. I think that was unfortunate. So I think on those types of things, I have a real passion for it. But not only the passion, but the ability to assist in finding dollars to do that work. When we did the Driftway Park projects, we cobbled together money from CPC. We used money from the 319 program, which is stormwater treatment. We built part of the trail with porous pavement, so we were able to serve 2 purposes, and we used 319 money there. I know how to put grants together. I think it would be, as a commissioner, would be an asset to, I know we have a grant writer in town now, which I think is a fantastic position, but with my professional experience and the experience as a commissioner, I think I could bring some assistance there. Being a commissioner is not about being there every, Wednesday night now? Every other week. It's, you know, it's about going to site visits. It's, if you're doing projects about education, you know, when we did the Driftway project, we made sure we had a couple public meetings beforehand outside of the normal Conservation Commission meetings, invited people to the library to look at the project. So I'm passionate, and I think that between the North River, which we really can only access by boat now, okay? And that leaves a great part of our Scituate community unavailable to get out there. We have access there through the rail trail. We have some access from, excuse me, from 3A that's not utilized. I don't know if that's an opportunity or not, but, you know, would like to take a look at that. Peggotty Beach, the town owns property on Peggotty Beach. That's not on the beach part of it, but was taken during storms. There's some other opportunity there. The commission's not the steward of that land, but it would, you know, it would obviously be something that I'm interested in, to getting people to access our waterfront. So I just feel strongly about it. You know, this isn't the first time I've been up here, and I'm a member of the Water Resources Committee now. I would elect to stay there, but I just wanted to, you know, give it another shot. I think that it's an important part of our community, and it's our biggest, the North River is our biggest public land holding, and we're not really doing anything to have to have people enjoy it. We've got Driftway Park. We can make, we could make better use of that. We've got the pier there that's in horrible condition. You know, I'm not sure, you know, at this point what grants are available, but you have a look at those every day. Are there other things to do with fundraising? Does the Conservation Commission, you know, I'm speaking without talking to anybody, do we do a roadway race, or hold a fundraiser, or do something along those lines? Because the commission has its own fund. If you could take that money and put it in there, and it'd be available for the commission to do conservation projects, you know, outside of the general fund issues, and not really have a big impact on that. So I'm real passionate about it. Sean was on the board when I was a commissioner before. He knows I spent a lot of time on things. You know, I guess what I'm trying to say is my heart is in, you know, let's open up these areas to the town. So that I think that that I can help do that. So I would respectfully ask for your consideration for the commission.
Well, I appreciate that. I agree with you that the Driftway needs a little bit more focus, so.
Yeah, it's a beautiful jewel, you know?
It is, yeah. I agree.
No, I think, you know, I keep going back to, at the time, I was not of the opinion that the bridge was the appropriate time to do it. I know that's the funds you're talking about have gone back.
Yeah.
But as I said to Frank and to other commission members, I'm like, I think that project should be completed. I think it would be nice to finally get beyond that so you can get out to the river. I'd love to see the Driftway Park implemented in a much more of a better way than it is now, kind of parking, and then there's some access there, but it's really not really, it's underutilized, and it could be a better conservation park than it is. Other access, you know, around the town, when you're mentioning that, Mike, the other one that came to my mind, not just from the North River's perspective, but also looking at Cohasset and the bay and going out in that way, half
Right.
that's Scituate, and like, is there some way of getting public access to that? I think would be phenomenal.
There's some fantastic resources in the Gulf and at the beach there, you know, I don't disagree.
So I'm like, but I mean, little steps probably are more important than jumping in that area. But I mean, that's an area that I think would be phenomenal if the town could get more access, the way they get access, if they can get it to North River and elsewhere. So, interesting. That's all. The only, Mike, the one thing I will say is this. Sometimes I've heard that you can have a very abrasive demeanor in the manner that you conduct yourself on the boards, whether it was in conservation and maybe even water resources. And the one thing that's problematic is, you know, it can't be that way. I mean, I understand coming here, I get upset with some people, and that happens. But I've always tried to be respectful, and I think that's something that has been a knock against you. You know, what am I going to hear, you know, from you to assure, try to say, look, more friendly or me maybe as approach as opposed to.
You know, I kind of recognize that. It's I think it comes from the passionate side. I also think I know from the commission, I did have some frustrations when you're dealing with applicants' representatives who were, in some cases, I believe, not telling you the truth. And I recognize that, and I would take to heart that, and I wouldn't mind it being pointed out if I was doing that at some time in a later place. I just, I'm pretty much an emotional guy and a passionate guy, so that's kind of where it comes from. I know Miss Curran knows when I coached the kids. I mean, we had a lot of fun, and it was about passion, you know. I should probably look at everybody that comes in as a kid as opposed to, they're a grown adult, So I appreciate that comment, and.
Let me ask you this. The only other thing is, this is an appointment for 3 years, supposedly. Are we mandated for a 3-year appointment, or can we do a 1-year appointment? We're not making decisions tonight, but I'm just trying to figure out if that's something that we have the ability to do.
On Concom?
Yeah.
No.
It's a 3 years. Automatic.
It's under the bylaws.
But let me tell you this, Mr. Downey, if it's an issue, and the board comes to me, if that's an issue, it's easy enough. You just say, okay, I resign. Okay, that's how I feel about it. I think I've learned some lessons over the time. And again, I just, as I said, it's, I have some strong opinions about things, and but I do know that, on the other hand, I've gotten some great things done for this community too. So I can work on that issue, but I also, again, it is what it is, John. If you point it out to me, I can work on, I can be aware of that situation and be an adult about it. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the only thing I'd like to say is I've known Mike for a long time, and being on conservation is a big learning curve. And he's got that down, all right? He hit the ground running. Be a great asset to the town.
Yep.
Nothing more I can say, it's,
And I'm just going to look behind you for a minute.
Yeah,
Frank,
Frank.
do we have any update on Bill Schmidt?
I heard tonight that he'd be back in about a month.
Okay.
But, we're down, right now, he's
He's still
an
active.
active member,
Okay.
but he's not been at quite a few meetings due to a work schedule.
Okay,
So essentially, we're without 2 members.
right. That's why I just wanted to get that clarified. Okay.
and just one other thing, and has your work schedule changed that, you obviously know what's expected of you, Mike, so you still could do all those site visits and meetings?
Yeah, I'm
Obviously, you know what you're getting into.
I'm a senior person, so I have flexibility in my schedule. When I was on the commission before, I attended things on behalf of the town during the work day to support whoever the agent is. I go to night meetings. I regularly visited sites. I don't think commissioners do that enough. So that, I really think it behooves a conservation commissioner to see what they're talking about and not just look at that on a plan, And I think I see the small things, For instance, we just paved New Kent Street, and I keep meaning to do this, but the Driftway Bike Trail plan was to paint bike lanes on both sides of New Kent Street from Gilson to First Parish, So those are the kind of things that are easily done that could keep moving, that type of thing forward, so.
It's not done
Actually, I
yet.
think it's not done yet. Kevin is actually putting together those plans to bring forward to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's just, it's just not the, the single focus, so, thank you.
Mike, thanks.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Coming in again, and thanks for waiting. Frank?
Can I just add one
Sure.
piece, Paul, and
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I was encouraged tonight to hear so many people applying for different boards that do have expertise.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear that, both the Council on Aging, the Coastal Coalition, to hear people that have that field, are in that field and can bring that. I mean, I joined the Conservation Commission a long time ago, kind of clueless in a way. It takes a long time to pick up on all that and to get folks on board that have that expertise would be incredibly helpful. There's not a lot going on. So anything that could help with that would certainly be appreciated.
Thanks, Frank. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, we're not going to vote tonight, so Mike, thank you.
No problem.
And I
Thank you.
think that Mike was the last applicant for us, right, Lorraine?
Yes.
That ended my... So next on our agenda is to discuss and vote the Susie Ambry committee charge.
Do you want to table that again? It's not on fire.
Yeah, can
I
we
agree.
table that?
We need to move along, and
Yeah.
we've got two not long executive sessions, but unusually two items.
Yeah.
Right, all right, so, do I need a motion to table it?
No,
Or can we just table it?
just table it.
All right, so we're gonna table, the Susie Ambry committee charge change. Do you wanna just quickly appoint the chairs? They're here. There were only two people that applied for,
The Cork County?
the Cork County Committee.
Sure.
So the charge was intentionally written so the board could choose the chair, not necessarily someone who volunteered. So I just wanted to point that out, because we had a wide variety of folks, and we're looking for organizational and skills to bring some disparate folks together. So I didn't know if you wanted to review all the folks that you appointed to that committee and pull together their background, but there was
Were
an
any of them
intent.
polled on their interest? I mean, I see
Yes.
that Brenda said she was interested in Siobhan.
They were all polled,
Because that's the
yeah.
challenge, right, is even though we may want to appoint somebody, they may
They're
not
not
be
up for it.
interested or may
Right.
not have the time to do
Right.
it.
So just those two submitted there?
I mean, I don't have any
Names?
issues with who's.
Did you hear from everyone, Lorraine?
These are the only two that volunteered for the positions.
But did everyone else
You hear
reply?
from
or no?
everyone.
Everyone received the request, and only those people that were interested replied,
Reply.
which were these two people.
Okay.
No one else replied regarding the chairman and vice chairman position.
Okay.
Okay, it's just for a term of 1 year.
Yep.
I mean, I don't have an issue doing it. I mean, again, it's hard to find folks to step up.
Right. Motion,
Do I
Jim?
have a motion?
Sure, I'll move to, I move the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Brenda O'Connor as the chairman of the Sister City Ireland Cork County Committee for a term of 1 year or until the successor is named.
Second?
Second by Mr. Harris. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All
I
opposed?
further, I'm sorry.
No.
All right. I further move the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Siobhan Hunter as the vice chairman of the Sister City Ireland Cork County Committee for a term of 1 year or until a successor has been named.
Second?
Second by Mr. Harris. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Okay, great, congratulations. And then we have a couple of one-day liquor licenses to get through.
All right, do you want me to start with tailor-made bartenders?
Yes, please.
All right, I move the Board of Selectmen approve a one-day wine and malt license to tailor-made bartenders for a family reunion to be held at the Scituate Maritime Center located at 119 Edward Foster Road on Saturday, July 29th, 2017, from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m.
Second.
Second by Mr. Vignani. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I further move the Board of Selectmen approve a one-day wine and malt license to Riva Restaurant for baptism to be held at the Scituate Maritime Center at 119 Edward Foster Road on Sunday, July 30th, 2017, from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m.
Second.
Second by Mr. Vignani. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I further move the Board of Selectmen approve one-day wine and malt license to tailor-made bartenders for a graduation party to be held at the Scituate Maritime Center located at 119 Edward Foster Road on Friday, August 4th, 2017, from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m.
Second.
Second by Ms. Vignani. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I further move the Board of Selectmen approve a one-day wine and malt license to Tailor Made Bartenders for a bridal shower to be held at the Scituate Maritime Center located at 119 Edward Foster Road on Saturday, August 5th, from 2017, from 12:30 PM until 4:30 PM.
Second?
Second by Ms. Vignani. All in favor?
I move the Board of Selectmen approve a one-day wine and malt license to Tailor Made Bartenders for a bridal shower to be held at the Scituate Maritime Center located at 119 Edward Foster Road on Sunday, August 6, 2017, from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m.
Second?
Second by Ms. Vignani. All in favor?
I move the Board of Selectmen approve a one-day wine and malt license to Tailor Made Bartenders for a rehearsal dinner to be held at the Scituate Maritime Center located at 119 Edward Foster Road on Friday, August 11th, 2017, from 3:30 until 10:30 p.m. 3:30 p.m. till 10:30 p.m.
Second?
Second by Mr. Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
I move the Board of Selectmen approve a one-day wine and malt license to Hospitable Hostess for a birthday party to be held at the Scituate Maritime Center located at 119 Edward Foster Road on Friday, August 18th, 2017, from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m.
Second?
Second by Ms. Vignani. All in favor?
Aye.
I move the Board of Selectmen approve a one-day wine and malt license to The Silent Chef for a post-burial reception to be held at the Scituate Maritime Center located at 119 Edward Foster Road on Saturday, August 19th, 2017, from 11:30 a.m. until 2:30 p.m.
Second?
Second by Mr. Vignani. All in favor?
Aye. I move the Board of Selectmen approve a one-day wine and malt license to Tailor Made Bartenders for a class reunion to be held at the Scituate Maritime Center located at 119 Edward Foster Road on Saturday, August 19th, 2017, from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m.
Second?
Second by Mr. Vignani. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that was everything for that. Board goes. We're going to also table board and committee appointments tonight due to the lateness. All right, we'll go through those on the 8th. And if we can put them at, closer to the beginning, so we don't keep putting this off, if we can try to do that.
Yeah.
Tricia?
No, I was going to the next item, if you got the email from the town clerk to table this till the next meeting.
Oh, okay, no, I didn't
Yeah.
get that. Okay, good, so that tables that.
That's the election workers, right?
Yeah, she sent me, Lorraine, I'm sorry, she sent me an email today, late, to table. Actually, not today. Yesterday. Okay.
Okay, great. Select dates, do we want to table this? Or do you want to talk about selecting the retreat date?
So if you table it, then it's another 2 weeks out. So
Okay,
A,
go
I
ahead,
need
we
to
can
know
talk
if you
about
want to reschedule it, and B, if not, there are some things that were planned to be discussed at that you really should discuss.
Okay. Discuss it for a couple minutes?
Saturday morning?
Well, what are your thoughts on, we also talked about possibly.
An off Tuesday.
An off Tuesday.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that might be better.
Yes.
Tuesdays that work for you?
That's fine. Saturday, I can't do the
Yeah.
Saturday.
At this point, an off Tuesday works best for me, too.
Okay, so it sounds like we're all amenable to an off Tuesday. Do we want to,
How about September, once summer's done? Because the weekends, I know I'm going away for a couple weekends.
I'm
no, we're
not.
going to do it on an
Tuesday?
off Tuesday, we're going to do it
Oh,
Tuesday night.
that's right.
Yeah,
I'm gone 1 week, and, okay,
do you know what week you're gone?
21st?
Of August? Okay.
I'm gone, not next week, but the week after. First full week of August.
So you're gone the week of the 7th, so you'll miss that meeting, John? Because it's a selectmen's meeting, right, on the 8th,
Probably come
Lorraine?
back for it, just for the sake of being here. I'll come back for it. I'm
Well,
not telling you how to dodge.
Right, the meetings are 8 and 22, right, Lorraine?
Yes.
So potential off dates are 1, 15, and 29. And then into
I'm available
September.
all three.
You're not going on
I won't,
vacation.
actually, I won't be here the 22nd.
So
We
what
have a
about the 15th?
meeting that night, right?
15th is
Can we do the 15th, August 15th? All right, Trish, is that August 15th work for you?
Yep.
Okay. So August 15th, gentlemen.
Do you want to start at 7 or 6?
7, if that's okay with everyone else. If they don't go with-
I'm open to any time.
Okay.
Okay, so August 15th, 7 PM. And then Tricia, you wanted to talk about a date to dedicate the Joseph P. Norton Emergency Operations Center?
Yes. Lorraine, when's the packet?
Sometime after August 4th.
I get an email
The
from.
clock will be ready.
That would be typically town hall hours.
Not necessarily. I mean, what if we had the other groundbreakings at 2 o'clock, or, 10 o'clock, or 2 o'clock, or, it's really your pleasure. I think it will be an hour and 15 minutes. How long did the library one go last week, Maura? And this is much smaller scale.
Yeah, it took like
We,
45 minutes.
yeah, so, I mean, I know Ruth and Joe have been asking me, so, it really can be any time that you would like it to be.
Let's do it at night, like at 5 o'clock or something.
Okay.
Because I can't make
7,
the 11 o'clocks or the 2 o'clocks.
Right.
Okay.
Do it early in the morning. Joe's up early. Do it like
Do it
6,
7.
5,
Yeah.
you know?
Sun-
Sunrise service.
He might be the only one there.
I mean, you could always do it at 5 o'clock before one of your regularly scheduled meetings, or,
That's an idea.
because you don't meet till
Want
7.
to do it on the 8th?
So you could do it on the 8th at
Is everybody here on
5.
the 8th? You're not on vacation on the 8th, right? That's our
Nope.
next meeting.
I'm on vacation on the 8th.
Oh, you are? Oh,
I
okay.
You might
prefer-
be coming back, well, you have to
Let's do
come
it
I'm
back.
the
gonna come back,
15th.
but I'd hate to leave earlier.
We can do it August 15th.
Then if it runs over, it's no.
Okay.
August
Yeah.
15 will be great.
Okay,
And we can
perfect.
have the retreat at the EOC.
Good.
Or
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good
another,
idea.
Yeah, there you go.
another room up there, one of the conference suites on the second floor,
I'll do
actually
the
would be
budget on
even
the
better.
15th too.
The what? So, the dedication at 5 on the 15th, I will check with Joe to make sure he's available.
Great. Thanks, Tricia.
Thank you, Maura.
Can I make a suggestion? Can we,
Yes.
seeing as we're meeting at 7, can we just do the dedication at 6? So there's not an hour gap in between the two?
Yeah, we can tighten either side up.
Okay. We'll do that.
I mean, it's fine by me if it's fine by everybody else. I mean,
Yeah.
Makes sense.
yeah.
Hey, you don't like spending time with us?
I do.
Is this mine or yours? That's yours.
Okay,
All right.
great, terrific.
Correspondence, John?
We have 3 that I see. One's from David Ball, the president of the Cedar Point Association, addressed to the Board of Selectmen, saying, "I'm pleased to be able to tell you that the Cedar Point Association held their annual cleanup day, both the Lighthouse Park adjacent to the lighthouse and the park, Hart Park, which is at the beginning of Cedar Point on May 27th. They had